Best post-game show in town, featuring the latest from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and your phone calls. The best Chiefs coverage is right here on your home for the NFL playoffs, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Every Wednesday at 6, it's Crunch Time Prime Time on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Me and my buddy Frank Bowe will bring you all the latest Chiefs news all season long. You guys know I'm a big believer in CBD. We will tell you a little bit about the latest products and benefits of CBD. And if you want to try any of their great products, you can stop into any of the American Shaman stores for a free sample.
Crunch Time, Wednesdays at 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
WHB Kansas City.
Isn't this a sports show?
So I got a haircut yesterday, 2 days ago. I also brought the beard in a little bit today.
Ooh.
And so this is basically, I'm just waiting for the guy that said I looked fatter on Facebook than I sound on the radio.
Almost entirely.
Just come back now. It was mostly fluff. Facebook commenter.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
He also called into the postgame show at one point, and he's cool. Mom, please stop bullying that guy. It's fine. Not a joke. Not a joke. Not a joke. None of what I just said was a joke. Every single syllable was a real thing.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
That was bad. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but it was bad. There it is. Hold on. Let me change that. That was bad. I admit it. I'm not sorry.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Eric Bieniemy may not get a head coaching job. Sammy Watkins is tweeting out wizard emojis. Darren Ravel did something unforgivably weird today. Divisional round of the playoffs is here. We're just days away from Chiefs-Browns. Welcome into the end, perhaps, of your Red Friday, maybe the beginning of your weekend. However it is that you're watching, listening, being a part of tonight's show. We're going to bring you along basically everything you need, all the momentum you need to get through the weekend, get up to at least Sunday morning. We'll have coverage all day long of Chiefs-Browns. My watch begins at 9 on Sunday. I'll take you up to the pregame show, then be back for post, and we're going to have plenty to talk about pretty much from every angle here as we get ready for Chiefs and Browns. But a number of interesting things have happened today. And again, I will tell you, you can tell me what this means if someone else has a better guess than I do. Sammy Watkins responded to someone who tweeted him about how he's never on the field, which don't do that. Don't tweet athletes about how, thank you for yawning into the microphone, Rudy, really the energy we needed into the show today. You have any defense for yourself?
Honestly, I didn't even hear it.
BJ, you want to rip a quick yawn real quick into the microphone?
I'm okay for right now.
Okay.
I might do this, though.
Don't tweet athletes who are hurt and tell them that they suck because they're hurt. That's a real dingus move. So don't do it. But somebody tweeted Sammy Watkins about how he's never active, which is, again, real dork action there. But then Watkins responded with, I'm always on the field, wizard emoji, wizard emoji, wizard emoji. And then someone else tweeted him about not playing, and he responded, wizard emoji, wizard emoji, wizard emoji. And then he just tweeted, wizard emoji, wizard emoji, wizard emoji. And I don't know what any of that means. But it has me engaged now. I'm paying attention to anything that Sammy Watkins says in the days to come. Regardless, he's not playing on Sunday. We do know that. That's the news of the day. Sammy Watkins will not be playing against the Browns this weekend. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable, and Willie Gage Jr. will not be playing against the Browns. We covered some of this yesterday. I'm really not worried either way about Clyde because I think the backfield is just going to be fine, and that won't change what the offense is capable of doing by my measure. The Sammy Watkins thing worries me just a bit at this point. Just a bit. I don't think it's going to change the course of the weekend. I don't think it'll be the thing that keeps the Chiefs from playing in the AFC Championship game. I do think, spoiler alert, that they will be hosting 3 consecutive AFC Championship games. Be the first AFC team ever to do that. I think that's going to happen, which will be a tremendous accomplishment. And then, if I had to bet right now, I would bet that they go 2 back-to-back Super Bowls and then win back-to-back Super Bowls. That's what I think will probably happen, although certainly no guarantees on any of those levels. But each of those games that doesn't include Sammy Watkins does give me a little bit of pause. That does make me second-guess a couple of things in terms of the difference between the Chiefs being able to score at will and being able to score most of the time. I think that's probably where Sammy Watkins moves the needle. It's a relatively small differentiation to make, but I think it's sort of the difference between, turning it up to 10 and to the proverbial 11. However, did you have the Chris Jones audio, that clip I cut? However, with or without Sammy Watkins, there's a very clear narrative about this week. The Chiefs are 10-point favorites, even without Sammy Watkins. And the Browns are the team that are playing with house money, that are, the underdog, that the season's already been a success, and they're expected to lose this game. They may or may not, but that's sort of the prevailing expectation. Earlier today, in a press conference, Chris Jones, who I like a lot, by the way, before we play this sound, I want to make that clear. Chris Jones was asked about how the Browns are coming into this game with that kind of nobody believes in us, the scrappy underdog, house money, nothing to lose, everything to gain kind of attitude. He was asked about the Browns coming with that kind of attitude and how the Chiefs are operating, being opposite that scrappy underdog.
I think we're still in that position, and I feel like we always still disrespected. I hear everything, all the talk and all of that. So, we just try to keep our head down and work. I know Coach Reed wants his respect. Pat wants his respect. Travis wants his respect. And we all want our respect. So it's evenly distributed on that level of competitiveness. So I think it's a lot of respect within the organizations.
I really like Chris Jones. That's the dumbest thing. Listen, the Chiefs the Chiefs are the most respected thing in the sport right now, and rightfully so. Everybody respects Andy Reid. Everybody respects Patrick Mahomes. Everybody respects the Chiefs, except for Colin Cowherd. Good point. And listen, that's dumb in the same way that, Michael Jordan getting, that didn't matter. Was it George Karl? Someone either did or didn't say hi to him at dinner, or the reason they didn't say hi to him at dinner was they didn't want to give him something to, think about. And
yes,
then
that was during the 96 finals.
Was it George Karl?
Yes, because he was the coach of the Sonics at the time.
His logic was, I'm not going to talk to Jordan. They were the same restaurant. I'm not going to remember restaurants. I'm not going to talk to Jordan because if I do, I'll say something and he'll file it away or whatever. And instead, Jordan he didn't even come say hi to me. That's a personal slight. I need my respect. Professional athletes can do whatever they want. Anyone can really do whatever they want, I guess, in terms of, I don't get any respect. And play that card and get whatever you need out of it, and that's fine. Doesn't bother me one bit what Chris Jones thinks he's hearing or seeing or whatever. The Chiefs' defense at least has a little bit of that, you know? The Chiefs' defense can probably play that card somewhat legitimately, I suppose. The idea that the Chiefs need to go out there and beat the Browns so Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes finally start getting some respect is really silly. But none of that's really the point of playing that audio. First of all, it's just kind of funny. I just kind of like that clip. The thing that I think is most interesting from that is way more big picture. It's way more sort of an aura kind of thing. We're getting very vibey on this. But think about the fact that is where this team is going for some sort of external motivation, and that we hear that clip and all of us chuckle. Because we've got some old liner from the Alex Smith days where I tell you that, you know, I remember talking about this so many times back in that kind of era of Chiefs football. Lots of Chiefs fans were bothered that they didn't get enough national media respect. Oh, no one takes us seriously. It's all about the Patriots and blah, 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 blah. Beards just texted me to tell me that the KU Iowa State game got postponed. It did about half an hour ago. Thank you, Beards.
About an hour ago, actually.
Yeah, the ESPN notification just came through, though, so Beards, really just exceptional producing. Thank you, Beards.
You're welcome.
Did you guys see the Jets hired Robert Saleh?
No.
Yeah.
Isn't Adam Gase still there?
No, they fired Adam Gase. Damn. Hey, Beards.
I really thought Adam Gase and Chad Pennington were just like going to click this year.
Beards, I know that you're kind of, you know, NBA is sort of like your first level. You just keep an eye and see if Harden gets traded. I'm just curious.
You mean from Oklahoma City?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I don't think Oklahoma City wants to give them that much money, but, you know, who knows?
They can figure it out.
Yeah.
Listen,
You've got Westbrook and Durant.
You have Westbrook, Durant, and James Harden. You can't just let them go.
And
Ibaka's there. Steven Adams?
No, he's still in New Zealand.
No, okay. Okay.
He's playing for Pittsburgh University. Young college kid.
KU and Iowa State will not play tomorrow. COVID. Thank you, Beards. What was I talking about? Oh, so back in the olden days,
when KU and Iowa State were still playing each other.
That's right. James Harden was a Thunder?
He was thin.
Is he a Thunder? A Thinder?
Thinner.
Oklahoma City Thinner. Now, if you say Oklahoma City Thinner, it sounds like you're talking about the big man on the floor, but you have a lisp. Oklahoma City's Thinner was Ibaka at that point, right, Beards?
I mean, I think they had Hasheem Thabeet then, too.
Hasheem Thabeet was the thinner? Whoops, I screwed it up.
I mean, he was on the team at some point.
I think this bit is finished.
Mm-hmm.
How can Bill O'Brien be Alabama's offensive coordinator and the head coach and GM of the Texans?
Is he not the OC at the Patriots?
At least Deshaun Watson's happy there. When Alex Smith was the Chiefs quarterback, and the Chiefs were good, they were winning the division, there was some talk, you know, again, mostly, I'm talking from fans here, but how, you know, our team doesn't get any respect. We're in Kansas City, we don't get any respect. It's all Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 etc. And I got it. That just didn't really matter to me very much, mostly because it was evident that the NFL does not have a market bias. They have a star bias, a quarterback bias. That's never been more obvious than it is now, where there's a really legitimate chance that the Super Bowl will be Kansas City versus Green Bay. That the AFC Divisional Round game that we're seeing right now is going to be Kansas City-Cleveland. The AFC Championship game, there's a good chance it's Kansas City-Buffalo. On the NFC side, we could get Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. Like these aren't New York, and the couple LA teams. One of the LA teams is obviously there, which moved from St. Louis. The reason the Chiefs didn't get that kind of respect and whatnot back then and that kind of national media attention is because they were the Browns, what the Browns are right now, more or less. Not quite there, going to win the division, going to make the playoffs, going to eventually lose to a legitimate contender. Been there. The fact that right now, everybody in the sport has unending respect for the Chiefs quarterback and head coach and team as a whole, and they just won the Super Bowl. You have to completely invent disrespect at this point on behalf of the Chiefs. Chris Jones did that, and we all had to chuckle because of think of how far they've come. That's one of the things that I think is most interesting heading into this weekend, and it's the thing that Chris Jones clip made me think about after I stopped kind of chuckling at it, because it actually is an interesting indicator of the idea that anyone doesn't fully respect the Kansas City Chiefs is funny. When throughout my entire lifetime until around this point last year, that was the thing that was obviously true. Of course people didn't fully respect the Chiefs. Why would they? Because they didn't have Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze, whatever. I think it's kind of interesting. We'll talk to Matt Verderame of FanSided here in about 40 minutes, and Mick Shaffer in about an hour and 40 minutes or so. We'll talk more about the game coming up and everything going on in the NFL world around it. But I would like to talk about something that I've been thinking about for 10 consecutive hours. Now, Beards, you did not go read this thing from Darren Rovell, right?
No, I did not.
I ran it by Rudy earlier because I just needed to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But I am excited to have you now be sort of the in real time sounding board. Darren Rovell, sports business reporter, always is kind of a little odd in a number. We've seen evidence of that, right?
I feel like a little isn't quite there, but a lot odd.
A lot
extremely odd. Full blown creep.
Well,
it'll work.
I wouldn't have called him a full-blown creep yesterday.
I would have only because I have heard stories again about other tweets that are that fall in this line. They're very creepy. A year ago, I probably wouldn't have.
Well, today he really went for it today. There's a post on his Instagram story that that a PFT commenter screenshotted and tweeted out. And it's a picture and then kind of an extended caption. And the picture is, once I saw that it was from Darren Rovell, I could tell that this 3-year-old child was Darren Rovell.
Little baby Rovell.
It really looks a lot like him, which makes sense. It's the same person. But it's just a little 3-year-old Rovell and then a little similarly aged girl, and they're like buddied up next to each other, and you find out by context this is at like a pool or something. Just a cute little picture of a couple of cute little kids from a specific time that he will give you more context on. Just, little kid picture.
Following you so far?
So far, whatever. Beards, I would like for you to pick a noise, whatever noise, just acapella. You can think of a noise. Don't say it. Just think of it. A noise that you will make whenever it gets sort of one significant step weirder for you.
Okay.
You got it. You just got a noise in your head.
Hang on. Let's see if I have a sound. That seems better.
No. I'd like for you to make it. I would like for you to you were an actor in what, high school?
Yeah.
Stage and screen.
Mm-hmm.
You got
mostly
this.
stage.
That's fine.
No screen.
You can just make a sound. Here's what it said under this picture. Older throwback. January 1982. So far, so good.
Okay. Yeah.
I was 3.
Okay.
I always loved girls.
Okay.
Not making any sounds yet? So far, so good for you?
No, I'm
that's
following
fine.
along.
All right. I always loved girls. Never thought they were disgusting.
Okay.
This was my friend Leslie at the pool at Woodmont Country Club in Tamarack, Florida. None of this has done anything for you?
Not yet.
I need help finding her to catch up. Guessing she's 45 now. End of post. Now,
He's a very mature 3-year-old, Josh.
it's insane to me, Beards, that you didn't think at the point of, I was 3, I always loved girls, never thought they were disgusting, wouldn't have sent up even a single red flag for you. That honestly makes me worried about you.
I mean, it was more like an orange flag. Like, we were a little past yellow, but I wasn't, like, full-blown stop yet. I wanted to see where the rest of this went.
Older throwback, January 1982. I was 3. I always loved girls. Never thought they were disgusting. This was my friend Leslie at the pool in Woodmont Country Club in Tamarack, Florida. I need help finding her to catch up, guessing she's 45 now. I would like to dissect this in a full, like, I would watch a 30 for 30 on this Instagram story. No question. I think you could cut this message in half and it would get less weird on either half of it. Because if he just posted a picture of him and, like, I don't know, at least a friend from high school, and said, like, hey, I'm looking for my friend Leslie, whatever her last name is, which I would think you would need to have to find her or get help finding her, whatever.
Probably.
Looking for my friend Leslie, guessing she's around 45. All right, fine. Sometimes people use social media to try to have other people, hey, do you know this person? You're probably not going to find one of her 40-some-year-old friends with a picture of her from when she was 3 without a last name, so much as potentially, a maiden name, anything, nothing. Just Leslie. That in and of itself, I think, is weird. But in the context of prowling 3-year-old Darren Ravel starting that search for his friend Leslie from the pool at Woodmont Country Club, stunning that Darren Ravel was a country club child, starting that search with, I always loved girls, never thought they were disgusting, and then the sort of cheese factor in this picture gets a significant degree more unsettling.
Is this tweet still up? Has he deleted this?
I retweeted it recently. You can go, if anyone hasn't seen it, you can go to @JB Brisco here. Facebook commenter asked if we're talking Chiefs or a 3-year-old. We're talking about a 3-year-old right now. Let's just, try to keep up, and we'll go back to Chiefs in a minute.
Another Facebook commenter also asked if you ran into a pigeon on your way into the studio.
I've gotten that before also. I like Twitch better. This Darren Ravel is like a established, respected business reporter.
Respect is a strong word.
He is established. Established? Can I have established?
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely established. He has been an established creep for a little bit.
How do you think that that's an okay thing? Just like, why would you say it like that?
Again,
he has 2 million Twitter followers.
Like a year-ish ago, he tweeted about it was like the anniversary of him discovering Kate Upton because he always had an eye out for beauty.
Go! I hate it.
He then proposed to her, on TV. Like he talked about how it was a fake proposal back in 2012. They met when they were 17, and the beautiful thing he said about their relationship was that you knew it was just a friendship.
She certainly knew that.
17-year-old Kate Upton.
How old would he have been at the time? Probably older by a bit.
So it was 2012. So
oh no!
However old he is right now, minus 8 years.
Hang on, I'm looking.
I mean,
so like
he thinks she's 45.
Darren Ravel is born in 1978, so I think that 42 is what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, so he was 36. Or 34, I mean.
What is wrong with him?
A lot.
How do you, what?
If it makes
How
you
do
feel
do
better,
any of that?
his pregnant wife at the time thought it was hilarious, according to him.
Everyone should go. You can again. I retweeted it recently. That tweet was literally like the first thing I saw when I got up this morning. I like woke up, opened Twitter, and that tweet was like one of the top things on my screen at the moment. And I've only been able to stop thinking about it for concentrated moments of the day today. Because it's just so...
It's very weird.
It's just so weird. Deeply unsettling.
It is.
Hey, I just had an interesting thought. Actually, fuck this.
That's a good sound for it. Yeah, that works, Beards.
See, that's what I was going to play.
Yeah, all right. That works. Good call. You got there.
Once every 2 years, I can play that.
Oh, man, it's just so... So weird. So very strange. Also, the Falcons hired Arthur Smith, the Titans offensive coordinator. I apparently making Ryan Tannehill look like 2019, 2020, 2021 Ryan Tannehill is more impressive than making the Chiefs offense be as good as it is.
Isn't somebody hiring Dan Campbell as well? Isn't that something I saw? The Lions?
I think that's like offered to them.
He's
likely to hire.
Reports were that they have zeroed in on him.
Zeroed in. Like a Woj tweet on NBA draft night. They
zeroed in on Man Campbell?
They have Dan Campbell in their crosshairs at this point. Yeah. The Jags hired Urban Meyer. We knew that yesterday. The Jets hired Robert Saleh. The Falcons have hired Arthur Smith. And Dan Campbell seems to be the favorite for the Lions job at this point. Eric Bieniemy has not yet interviewed with the Houston Texans because they dragged their feet. The Chargers still have a vacancy. The Eagles still have a vacancy. And I don't think they've even requested Bieniemy yet, but I don't think they could. I mean, they couldn't have interviewed him yet, so I'm not sure that really matters.
My guess is, I think we talked about this yesterday, how a lot of times teams will go in the opposite direction, right? My guess is Philadelphia will not really be all that interested in Bieniemy, in part
they
because
were
he's
apparently interested in Mike Kafka, though. Well, you're right. Your logic holds there.
There's a huge difference between Mike Kafka and Eric Bieniemy.
That's true. I couldn't tell you what it was, but
Kafka has gorgeous hair, and Doug Peterson had nice hair too. That's like a prerequisite.
Matt Nagy is bald. Balding.
That's why Philadelphia wanted nothing to do with him.
You know what? Great point.
And we all know Ryan Pace doesn't like coaches or quarterbacks who have nice things like
good hair,
loves Trubisky
good arm.
because he drove a beat up car. Like Matt Nagy because he didn't have nice hair.
Between where the NFL is at with Eric Bieniemy right now and where Deshaun Watson is at with the Texans right now, and the fact that I have an argument to make about the Texans and Eric Bieniemy. Those things will all collide pretty closely here, and we'll talk about them all here momentarily. But we need to take a break. I need to try to go, wash out my brain and not think about Darren Ravel's weird Instagram posts for the rest of the show. We will take a break. Whenever we come back, I want to talk about the NFL overthinking Eric Bieniemy, where the Texans might be right now, and we'll obviously have tons of Chiefs-Browns stuff over the rest of the night as we are now within striking distance. Just 2 more sleeps until playoff football. The vibe is kind of weird because we're pretty sure the Chiefs should win this game, but it's also a game they have to have.
48 hours from now, the Chiefs season could be over. Playoffs are a weird time.
I don't like it when you say it that way.
I'm just saying that's what makes playoffs
right.
so weird. Like we're at that point where like we are expecting 3 to 4 more weeks of football, but like it also could just be over like that. It's a weird time. Playoff football's weird, man.
But Rudy, just because you're right doesn't mean we want to hear that.
Because here's the thing: is I said,
I'm not worried. But it could just be over.
I said 2 more sleeps, and you basically said, or you could die in your sleep tonight and not wake up and never see the game.
No. You would die in your sleep 2 nights from now. 48 hours. You take your post-angry Chiefs loss nap. Just never wake up.
You didn't make things better.
No, you really didn't.
I never said it was like to make things better. I never promised that.
Listen, if there's one thing that's abundantly true from both of you fools, it's that you've made no promises to ever make the show better.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Championship Barbecue is now available at your fingertips with the new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue online ordering app. Place your order for the legendary Z-Man or Rocket Pig sandwiches, slabs of ribs, or a burn-end dinner right now. It's just a few clicks from your smartphone, and and your order will be hot and ready for curbside pickup. The new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app is perfect for a weeknight dinner with the family or feeding your entire office. So don't wait. Download the brand new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app today.
Winter is upon us here in the Midwest, and it brings cold weather and snow with deer season at its peak. Being fully prepared is key, and whether or not you're an archery hunter, rifle hunter, or both, you'll need reliable gear to help you get the job done when you're out there in the stand in the coming months. Luckily, your friends at Bushnell have everything you need to help fill your tags this winter. Check out our large selection of hunting gear, including binoculars, laser rangefinders, rifle scopes, trail cameras, and much more. Whatever you need for the hunt, Bushnell has it. Visit Bushnell.com for more details.
This weekend, the action continues with the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The action begins Saturday at 3:30 with the Rams and Packers.
Woods wide open, makes the catch at the 5, strolls to the end zone, touchdown LA.
Then it's the Ravens and Bills at 7:15.
Jackson dives, and he's in! Touchdown, Lamar Jackson!
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Our friends at American Shaman have a smoking hot new product I'm just burning to share with you. Shaman Smokes come in a pack of 20. They're available in cherry, grape, menthol, and original unflavored hemp. So when you're feeling the drag, spark up a Shaman Smoke for the satisfying and relaxing effects of legal hemp. Shaman Smokes are not intoxicating and contain absolutely no nicotine. Ask for Shaman Smokes at your favorite convenience store or pick them up at your local American Shaman. Shaman Smokes from American Shaman. Life is better with the feather. Are you tired of living with chronic pain? Well, listen carefully, because there are new breakthrough treatments now available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative cell therapies from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics off 435 and State Line. This is Stephen St. John, and these revolutionary treatments not only alleviate your pain, they speed up the healing process. We're talking regenerative cell and platelet-rich plasma therapies, all new solutions that really work. If you've got pain in your knees or your shoulders, hips, or lower back, you may be able to avoid invasive surgery with these proven non-surgical options. Call now and schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. If you've got chronic pain and you want to avoid surgery and steroids, call QC Kinetics off 435 and State Line. Call now, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
In case you're wondering if you're listening to the best possible sports media right now, on NFL Network's Players Only show, they're debating if J.J. Watt never played another down, would he still be a Hall of Famer?
With Joshua Brisco.
Are you crazy? Of course he would. And see, that's the thing, man. If you're sitting here going, God, that last segment
How's that even a debate?
That last segment was weird and bad. Well, bleep you. That's your option. Go to NFL Network.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Let's talk about Eric Bieniemy for a second. A hot topic around here, obviously, because most Chiefs fans are in this relatively sort of selfless position, I think, where I think if you asked most Chiefs fans, hey, do you want the Chiefs to lose their offensive coordinator to go be the Falcons or Lions or Texans or Chargers head coach? Maybe not the Chargers. Would you hit the button to allow that to happen? I think at this point, most Chiefs fans would, which is relatively altruistic, I think, which is not something you'll typically find in sports or in sports fandom very often.
Or just in life.
Or just in life, yeah. One of the very first conversations I had as a producer on these airwaves was a dual question. Is Joe Flacco elite, and does altruism exist? I remember this. It was a Sports Saturday or a Sports Sunday years ago.
Well, was Joe Flacco elite?
I mean, obviously.
What was your opinion?
It was a double no. Joe Flacco was never elite, and altruism is impossible.
Joe Flacco was always elite.
Because the main crux of that there is that even if you do something,
he's got a Super Bowl.
Even if you do something altruistic, even if it's
just one,
what's that?
Is it just one?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one Super Bowl is all you need to be elite.
Even if you aren't,
unless you're Eli.
Even if you aren't giving away
Hall of Fame.
Are you guys quite done?
I'm done.
Is Eli a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
Yeah, he's a Manning, of course.
Yeah, I'm ready to put Arch to.
Arch Manning, I think, goes in next year.
Yeah. 100%.
And because I assume you don't know, Arch Manning is
like
is
17.
Cooper Manning's son, who's a sophomore in high school.
Cooper should be in the Hall of Fame also.
Yeah, well,
because he produced future Hall of Famer Arch Manning.
Arch Manning, yes.
So Joe Flacco was never good. He just had a rookie contract and good teams around him and made some big plays in the playoffs. Altruism, fundamentally, I don't think can exist because even if you're doing something kind of out of the goodness of your heart, quote unquote, not for a tax break or whatever, even then you are getting something back.
It makes you feel good
because it makes you feel good. Yeah. So even if you can either carry around guilt or the positive, but even if you're doing something positive, maybe you just feel less guilt about something. And so I don't know if altruism is possible to exist.
Even the most selfless of people, the reason why they're doing selfless things is because of how it makes them feel.
Right. Even if you don't realize that, I think that's largely true.
For most people, it's probably like not most, but for a good amount of people, it's probably like more of a subconscious feeling. But like, if it made you feel bad, you wouldn't do it.
Right. And even if you're doing something that makes you feel bad because it helps someone else, there's the underlying. It kind of makes you
feel good because you're
that's
like,
right.
Oh, I'm doing something that I don't like to help somebody else out.
You will remember that later on. Mm-hmm. You are the person that sacrificed something to make them. Again, you don't even have to be thinking about it in terms of like swapping favors or whatever. It's just you're getting hit with the dopamine from doing the good thing. And Joe Flacco has never been elite.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Delaware State would beg to differ. Or did he just go to Delaware? I think he just went to Delaware.
I think it was just Delaware.
Yeah.
How did I get there again? I need one of you guys to remind me. I want to talk about Eric Bieniemy.
Because you have bad football takes about Joe Flacco.
Fans, I think, feel relatively altruistically. They want the Chiefs coordinators to go be successful. There's something kind of fun about the idea of the NFL being taken over by the Andy Reid coaching tree whenever your team has Andy Reid. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun. Most people, I think, want Eric Bieniemy to go get a job. Hey, Eric, will you please go get a damn job? A head coaching job. I think most Chiefs fans would want that for him. Andy Reid clearly wants it for him. Doug Peterson went and got one. Matt Nagy went and got one. Mike Kafka might get one before Bieniemy does at this point. And the fact that so many people feel that way, I think is noteworthy. But also the fact that we're now in round 2 here, I think is making it even stranger. Now, there are a lot of factors that are going to be in play on this. One is some stuff that Andy Reid said a week or two ago. He said someone asked him, "Hey, what does a head coach need to be able to bring to the table specifically for the relationship with ownership for them to get that job? And do you think Bieniemy can do that for some ownership group?" And Reid essentially said he can absolutely do that. And owners want to know they're not going to have problems. You're going to handle the problems. You're not going to give them any new problems. And that you're going to be able to be on the same wavelength with them, communicate with them, and be comfortable working with each other in sort of an untraditional power dynamic where the coach has power over the thing the owner owns, but they are an employee of the owner. It's kind of it's a unique power dynamic that I imagine doesn't show up outside of sports all that often. So there's that element of it. And if you follow, like Ben Albright, it has tweeted a couple of times about some of the stuff in Eric Bieniemy's past that may be little red flags and stuff that stems out of college and mostly older stories that I don't feel like come up with equal fervor for a lot of people, but it's worth kind of knowing that there's something back there you can keep an eye on, whatever. That's fine. And then Charles Robinson, who does the Yahoo Nfl Podcast with Therese Paylor and is a great Twitter follow and super smart dude. He had a Reddit AMA where someone asked him about Bieniemy, and he said, "Man, there is not a singular answer here. this is a multifaceted thing. It's not that every NFL team sees something from his time at Colorado and takes him off their list. It's not that every NFL team thinks he interviews poorly. It's not any singular thing. And he also said it's frustrating that it's not any singular thing. And it's also not a combination of a bunch of terrible things. It's just not worked yet. All of that is worth knowing. There are at least 3 different sort of tracks there. Also, I think it's hard to have a conversation about Eric Bieniemy becoming an NFL head coach without acknowledging the fact that there is an absolutely disproportionate relationship between minority NFL players and minority NFL leadership, especially on the offensive side of the ball. It's Byron Leftwich and Eric Bieniemy right now in terms of black offensive coordinators. And then in minority head coaches, there are more, but it is nowhere near proportional to what the league as a whole looks like. GMs and ownership, even more so. In ownership, you got Shad Khan, and then I think
So the Bills are both the husband and the wife, and the wife is Asian American.
That's right. That's true. Because
I don't know exactly how
something changed there recently, right? Like last year or two, maybe not. Maybe
I don't know exactly how they share, like how that dynamic split, who does what, whatever. But they are officially. She's the president of the company who owns the Bills.
And there are a couple of women, but it's obviously majority male, and it is super majority old white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to acknowledge that whenever you go back to the thing. So I know people get so sensitive around this, which is kind of funny because I feel like it's usually the people getting sensitive or the people telling other people not to be so sensitive about so many other things. I find that kind of funny. Not ha-ha funny, but like, interesting funny. But whenever you go back to what Andy Reid talked about, you got to have that dynamic, that relationship, that mutual trust, that kind of vibe with ownership. You have to acknowledge the fact that, will Eric Bieniemy have equal chance of finding that wavelength with an older white owner that Doug Peterson would have? Mm-hmm. I think that in a lot of instances, it's fair to say that's probably a harder case for Bieniemy to win, because you can do all sorts of anything you want in terms of whatever, shared experiences, things in common. However, whatever code you need to put that into to make that work for you is fine. But that's an element of it. I don't think it's fair to say that's the stop and start, but it's certainly unfair to say that doesn't play a role. There's a wide menu of things going on around Eric Bieniemy, and right now it doesn't really look like he's going to get a job this cycle.
Which seems wild because, like, at the start of it, we just assumed, like, yeah, he will get it this time.
He was the betting favorite for, like, 3 or 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of those have now hired other coaches or are about to hire other coaches in the case of the Lions. I thought Atlanta made a ton of sense. I hoped he would have his choice of jobs.
For sure.
I'm not even sure that Robert Saleh had his choice of jobs because he ended up with the Jets. And that one feels...
I don't remember his name being mentioned a ton. Like, obviously, he was...
Well, he and Bieniemy both last year were hot contenders for jobs.
I don't remember this year there necessarily being a lot of teams. Like, I just don't remember seeing, like, that bottom line. Like, so-and-so has requested. So, like...
Who's gotten more hype than those two, though? Joe Brady's gotten talked about a lot. He hasn't gotten a job.
That's what I mean. For this offseason, and again, part of this might just be I haven't followed as closely. I just have not. I had not seen a lot of teams request. Now, that doesn't mean it wasn't. I'm just saying I personally didn't see it.
I'm trying to see all the places that wanted to interview Saleh. It's a long list.
Again, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I didn't. My whole point was just with Saleh is at the very least I never saw those tweets. It doesn't mean they didn't exist.
I'll just tell you real quick. The Eagles, Jets. I don't know. Yeah, the Chargers, the Jags, the Texans did not.
What I will say with the Jags, they were going after Urban Meyer.
The Lions at least had a request out for Saleh, as did the Falcons. Basically, Bieniemy and Robert Saleh both had interviews with everyone except for the Texans and the Eagles. Saleh may have interviewed with the Eagles. Bieniemy has not. But those guys were hot names last year, last coaching cycle. They were again this year. They interviewed pretty much everywhere, and we're still here now. Here's the thing with Eric Bieniemy. The NFL, I think, in so many cases, underthinks things. It's why I still, in 2021, feel like I'm dying to try to tell people about how time of possession is a really information-poor statistic. It's not worth spending your time discussing, even though Mike Greenberg used it as the be-all, end-all apparently on his show today. Pull my hair out and then shove it into my ears so I don't have to listen to that show. Because it's just the conventional wisdom, and it's just something you think, it makes sense. And here's a good stat. The Chiefs are 9-1 whenever they win time of possession, and they're 5-5 when they don't, or whatever. And I've got another stat on that I'll bring around in a second. It's much more useful and much less random, and the correlation between a quick Google of like correlation versus causation will also help a lot of people, whatever. If you've got your, the email address of your middle school math teacher, just email them. Ask for a quick refresher. But in a lot of cases, I think the NFL underthinks things. Sometimes it's overthinking. Sometimes I think most of the time it's underthinking. Let's just take the guy that looks like a quarterback. Let's run the ball and get a good balance. Let's establish the run and wear down the defense. Let's hire the guy that looks and feels like a head coach. Let's just hire the guy who coached Peyton Manning. Well, his last coaching job didn't work. Let's give him another shot. But I think with Eric Bieniemy, the league as a whole, now through 2 coaching cycles, has largely overthought this one. Maybe his interviews do fall somewhat flat. Maybe his 5-year plan for the future of the organization is not as detailed as you thought it should be, or as detailed as Adam Gase's was. At some point, though, unless Andy Reid is saying totally different things behind the scenes that he's saying at the microphone, which I guess is possible, but unless that is happening, you can take Eric Bieniemy's resume, his references, and his experiences, and that dude is a head coach, and it's a layup. You have Andy Reid, Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, who he's had like little altercations with on the sideline. It'd be real easy for Travis Kelce to not go out of his way to talk about Eric Bieniemy. You get glowing reviews from those dudes. Tyrann Mathieu talked about him again yesterday. From the defensive side of the ball, no less. You get all of those references, those rave reviews, and the resume of even if Andy Reid is 75% of the offense, Zach Taylor got a head coaching job because he touched the hem of Sean McVay's coat. Like, don't you think that being around Andy Reid, both as a running backs coach for however long that was, and then for 2 years as an offensive coordinator, and then being around Andy Reid and that coaching staff, and obviously Patrick Mahomes, you wouldn't want the guy that had just soaked up that to come try to get Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, Matt Ryan, to get them on the track you'd like for them to be on? How do you talk yourself out of that? It would be my question. And I think you've got to, you basically have to try to talk yourself out of Eric Bieniemy. Adam Gase apparently interviewed well enough to get a head coach job twice. If you leave an interview and the interviewer looks to whoever else the interviewers look at each other and they go, yikes, then that probably ends your chance for that job. That's reasonable. I've got a tough time thinking that Eric Bieniemy is walking out of interviews and they're going, oh boy, that dude's not ready. That dude is never going to be ready. This is not going to work for that guy. I have a really hard time seeing that, because if that was who Eric Bieniemy was, there's no chance in hell that he ever would have become the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. He wouldn't have kept that job for 2 years. I think that some of the worst analysis that we do of like the Chiefs' offensive room is to think that the offensive coordinator can go in and kind of glide on Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's ingenuity. Andy Reid is not going to carry dead weight, and certainly not at his right-hand man in terms of the offense. There's no chance. And again, he had worked with Bieniemy as the running backs coach before elevating him to offensive coordinator whenever Matt Nagy left. Andy Reid gave him that job, and it's gone really well. No NFL team thinks that they might be able to replicate that kind of positive outcome with Bieniemy as their head coach. That just seems like overthinking. It seems like you get too far into your own head, and now you've realized, whoops, we hired, and the Titans offense has done some things really, really well these last couple of years. I can be a bit of a reductionist to say that if your offense revolves around any running back, you're probably not going to be exactly on the cutting edge of the NFL offensive revolution of the 2020s. Mm-hmm. But they've also done some things really, really well in terms of pre-snap motion, and Ryan Tannehill looks great and all that stuff. But if you talk yourself into the Titans offensive coordinator or the assistant head coach in New Orleans or whoever over Eric Bieniemy right now, I think you're even, probably subconsciously, but I think you're trying to work towards one of those guys because something isn't setting right with Eric Bieniemy, which just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Arthur Smith's dad is the founder of FedEx.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet that I think Arthur Smith's dad is worth more than Arthur Blank or something like that.
It's a good life, man.
That's the new head. Arthur Smith is the new head coach of the Falcons and was the offensive coordinator for the Titans, if I had not previously made that clear. The good thing is, with his dad being the founder of FedEx, he should get a great rate on packing up his office in 3 years. Maybe then Eric Bieniemy will get that job.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
This weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs will look to punch their ticket to their third consecutive AFC Championship game. The Cleveland Browns certainly have other plans. I'm Joshua Brisco, and immediately after the Chiefs and Browns face off, we'll be live right here for the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. We'll bring you the postgame press conferences from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Kevin Stefanski, plus the rest of the Chiefs from the podium. It all starts immediately after the Chiefs and Browns face off on Sunday afternoon, right here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show, presented by CBD American Shaman.
Family Leisure's After Christmas clearance sale is here. Family Leisure has the best prices of the year on closeout, scratch and dent, and overstocked products, and bonus deals for you if you mention 810. Pool tables, foosball, air hockey, bars and bar stools reduced by up to 70%. Hot tubs, tanning beds, and home theater seating at their best prices. Family Leisure has the best products, best selection, and best prices guaranteed. Take advantage of the special 810 deals while they last. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome! When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Since 1929, Shane Company's been part of over 1 million perfect proposals. An engagement ring is a symbol of your natural love, a love that's pure, unique, and rare. Choose a center stone that will reflect that. At Shane Company, all of our diamonds, rubies, and sapphires are natural, rare stones, sourced directly from suppliers worldwide who share our dedication to the highest ethical standards. Because we have the largest selection of natural stones in every price range, and each stone has its own unique characteristics, it'll be easy to find a center stone that's perfect for the two of you. Visit our store or go online to create a one-of-a-kind ring that's as genuine as your love story. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. It's time to get ready for all the big games. No one does watch parties better than Hy-Vee. Let Hy-Vee help you party in style with a huge selection of official Chiefs apparel, paper goods, party supplies, and more. Start off the day right by picking up the limited edition Patrick Mahomes cereal. Then feed your hungry team with a perfect party tray, burgers, brats, wings, and ready-to-bake pizza. No time to prepare? Let Hy-Vee quarterback your party with full-service catering, home delivery, and setup. Elevate your home gate at Hy-Vee, the official grocery sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Whenever we come back, we'll talk about football. That's a promise that we probably will not be able to live up to. That's next.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you haven't picked it up over the course of this last week, you can watch the show in a bunch of places now. Facebook.com/sportsradio810, Twitch.tv/sportsradio810, YouTube.com/810WHB. You can leave comments and we'll get to them, including this one from Darth Maldad on Twitch. Did you see that Arthur Smith is Thickless Cage? And I'm looking at a picture of Arthur Smith, and he looks like Thick Nick Cage. It actually, yeah, I very much see it.
Or Thickless Cage, as the kids call him.
Which also reminds me, if you haven't yet, please Google Willie's Wonderland trailer.
Yes.
It is a trailer for a new Nicolas Cage movie where he is basically within the video game Five Nights at Freddy's, but in real life.
Or he's fighting the Chuck E. Cheese band, if you're not sure what Five Nights at Freddy's is.
Yes. He's basically stuck inside a Chuck E. Cheese, and those things come to life and try to kill him. And he says 0 words in the trailer. The whole thing is a trip. Oh, it's also brought to you by the studio that brought you Chicken Soup for the Soul.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I just wonder how much the Browns can possibly have in the tank after what they've been through.
I think the Chiefs are a deserved double-digit favorite, but I do think the Browns have a chance just because they've got a pass rush and they've got the running back.
There are a lot of fans of Kareem Hunt who are still on the team. These guys like Kareem Hunt. But Kareem Hunt made his own bet in Kansas City.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Drive for the win and score huge savings at your Kansas City Acura dealers. As Kansas City makes their playoff push, we're pushing out deals on award-winning Acura SUVs and sedans. For a limited time, score jaw-dropping lease deals and low APR offers on the all-new 2021 TLX sedan and the 2021 RDX crossover SUV. The MVP has arrived. Pre-order the all-new redesigned 3-row 2022 MDX SUV and experience the future of luxury performance. Visit your Kansas City Acura dealers today.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Rock your home with new tops from Kansas City's best countertop fabricator, Rock Tops. They custom fabricate and install stone surfaces that will make you fall in love with your home. Making homes look incredible is Rock Tops' thing. Being nice just comes naturally. Rock Tops offers carry-out samples and virtual or in-home appointments. Call 913-782-0802 or go to rocktopskc.com. Mention 810 Rocks to receive 10% off right now.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Milwaukee Bucks appear to be able to hang on to tie both Philadelphia with the most wins in the NBA's Eastern Conference. Milwaukee hosting Dallas. Dallas down 2. Not one chance at a 3. Kristaps Porzingis wide left. Chris Middleton to the line to hit 2 free throws. He's got 1. Second one is coming. 110-107 is the score under 8 seconds to go, which in the NBA still is an eternity. Bucks with a win will go to 9-4. They'll tie Philadelphia, which is also with a record of 9-4. Boston leads the Eastern Conference. They absolutely smashed Orlando tonight, 124-97. No Jason Tatum tonight for Boston. Still, though, Celtics were able to put 6 players in double figures, including Jaylen Brown, who had 21. Taco Fall hit a 3, but it didn't count as a 3. Apparently, one of his size 27 feet were on the line. Meanwhile, the other stories coming out of the NBA tonight, Washington and Detroit postponed because of health and safety concerns with coronavirus. Minnesota, Memphis, same for Golden State and Phoenix. Minnesota's Karl Anthony Towns putting on Twitter today, he tested positive for COVID-19. This is very close and personal for Cat because his mom died of complications from COVID-19 back in April. She'd already dealt with the virus for a month. Cat also said before the start of the season, 6 other family members have died from complications from the virus. For the Wizards, 6 more testing positive. They got a total of 9.
Hey, it's Greeny, and Monday there couldn't be more football going on with the coaching carousel spinning and 4 classic divisional round games. We'll talk about it all together with me, Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
My lawyers will be in touch if you continue to slander me as someone who ever has gone to Applebee's after dark.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision.
I want to hear more about my choice of a lawyer, Beards. Is that going to make it in the podcast? Did that get recorded?
I mean, Matt needs a lawyer.
It did get recorded.
Excellent. Leave that in. Because what just happened is you just had a liner about Matt Verderame being willing to sick his lawyers on us.
Yeah.
And then you had a little beginning of a commercial there about your choice of a lawyer being important. How are things going on that side of the glass? We'll get to Verderame in just one second.
It's weird back here.
Just a little check-in on Beards. A little Beards McFly check-in. How are you feeling right now, Beards?
Yeah, okay.
Everything going all right?
Everything should be working now.
I do see smoke coming out of the board in front of you.
That's
Is
normal.
That's normal?
That's normal.
Okay.
It's been there for 28 years.
Okay. All right. Just want to, if at any point you really, need to even just climb out of the room because it's filling with smoke or anything, you do what you need to. We can stall on this side. Just leave the mics on and we'll figure it out. The choice of a lawyer is important, as Matt Verderame apparently knows, because he's ready to sick his onto this show if necessary. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. Check out the Stacking the Box podcast, Stacking the Box column, all of his work up on FanSided, the Arrowhead Addict podcast as well. Matt, I feel like you're a guy that probably does, you could definitely get a good lawyer in 20 minutes if you needed to.
The only reason that's true is because my uncle is a very successful lawyer back in New Jersey. That is it. Because otherwise, Kaiser's getting a call to be put on retainer. And I can't speak to whether he's good, bad, or indifferent. He's friends. I'll say he's good. But I have no idea. Maybe if I talk to the state of Minnesota, they'd say otherwise.
No, and I was thinking the exact same thing, actually. But see, I felt like you would have an uncle who was like an accomplished lawyer. That just sort of makes sense. I would have to make any of my legal calls to Seth, and then he would, like have to get back to me 3 days later because he's got 97 kids and 14 jobs. And then at that point, I would, my case would have been already summarily dismissed, and I would be in prison.
Well, knowing my mother's side of the family, which is where my lawyer uncle is, I've got a better chance of getting a call returned from the President of the United States. One of my uncles to call back. When I got married, we got married out in Illinois where my wife's from, where we now live. And, all my family is from New York and New Jersey, so I'm sure my voice doesn't give away. But we invited all of them. And I want to say out of the, I'm ballparking this, maybe out of the 12 invites each of the families we sent out, we heard back, actually heard back from 3 of them. And the rest of them were just like, here's a check, don't call. Which was great. Got a check and didn't have to see any of them. So it was the most dysfunctional human beings on earth.
But I mean, I think you nailed it there. If anybody's ever really complaining about the check and you don't have to worry about that plate of food or whatever, I'd call that a win-win.
Oh, fantastic. I didn't have to pay for their dinners. I got the check. I didn't have to see any of them. And I didn't have to worry about the customary fist fight that breaks out every single time we all get together for Christmas. Every time. So, and I'm sadly not even kidding. So I'm all for it. Didn't have to worry about good old Uncle, I won't say the names, good old Uncle Bobby just coming over the table because somebody got insulted about their money clip. And, you have a money clip? What's that all about? And literally, a full-on, full-scale brawl over the lasagna. Good time.
What's your wallet situation? Are you a wallet guy or a money clip guy?
I'm a wallet guy, which most of my family is. But one of my uncles is a money clip guy. It's fine, but he loves to show off how full his money clip is.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, one of the other, my mom is one of 5 kids. There's 3 older brothers and a younger sister, and the brothers just love to really look. I'm not going to go too into this because we're on the radio here, and I don't want to bore everybody. But
no one is bored by this. Anyone who's bored by this should find a different show to listen to.
One of my uncles worked with my dad. They owned the company there for 25 years. And so they worked down in suburban New Jersey, and one of my other uncles worked 5 minutes down the road as a successful real estate agent. But he's a nice guy, but he's very, very vain about his appearance. And so it was a very windy day. Long story short, the uncle that works for my father sends a fax. This is the late 80s. Sends a fax to his real estate office, thinking it's going to his desk, but it's going to the main part of the office, and says, Steve, high winds, weave alert.
No!
So Steve, who everyone knows has a weave.
Right.
Everyone knows this. It's fine, whatever. But he takes this unbelievably personally, comes down to my father and uncle's office, doesn't say one word, and just jumps over the desk and goes after my uncle. My one uncle busts out laughing. They're hitting each other. Going to break up. That's the family. So I'm glad we avoided that on wedding day. Good.
I don't know when the peak, Rudy, find some research on this for me, please. I don't know when the peak of the sort of toupee line was, but I have to imagine that has largely gone to the wayside, right? There aren't a lot. I mean, I guess maybe we're at the tail end. I can't imagine. Listen, whenever my hair goes, it's just gonna go. It's just gonna go. I'm gonna try to keep the beard together, and it's just gonna be gone. I can't imagine a life where I'm hold on, honey. I gotta glue my hair to my head. I'll be right there.
So
large. Well, my uncle lived that life, and then the other one faxed him about it and told his whole office about it. And it led to a legitimate, a bench-clearing type brawl in the middle of an office building. And that's one of a million. I mean, there's every corn on the cob. You ever had, most people, they'll stick the little, the things in the edges and just spin the corn on the cob. We're having a barbecue 10 years ago up at the lake house. And long story short, one of my aunt is who's let's just not say he's going to win a popularity contest. Is eating like a wild animal and is just plowing through this piece of corn. And it's like almost like off-putting, right? Like it's always messy, and it's like he's like gripping the damn corner. He's got these long nails. And my one uncle looks and goes, "What are you storing some for the winter?" Huge fight breaks out, huge. It was just like you couldn't help but just bust out laughing. She's freaking out. Her husband's furious. It's always interesting. It's always fun.
It sounds like a blast. What did you find about the toupee industry, Rudy?
So toupees were they were obviously developed during the 18th century and were popular.
I didn't know they were obviously developed in the 18th century. What?
Popular in the 1770s, and their popularity began to fade after the French Revolution. So toupees,
really?
After the French Revolution, weren't their thing.
But they had to have like a specific resurgence in like the 60s and 70s, though, right? Of the 1960s and 70s. We'll continue. Rudy, I'd like a quick book report in about 15 minutes. You just let me know. Right now is fine, I guess.
By 1970, Time magazine estimated in the U.S. toupees were worn by more than 2.5 million men out of 17 to 20 million balding men.
That's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah. The increase was chalked up once again to further improvements in hairpiece technology, desire to seem more youthful, and the long hairstyles that were increasingly in fashion back then.
Wow, that's incredible.
So I would say in the 1770s is when they peaked, and then again in the 1970s. A little 200-year gap there. So, 2170 they'll be back?
I hope not.
I hope not also. You guys want to see a real professional radio tease? You just want to, a little segue here? Hey, Matt, you know what's making me pull my hair out? Eric Bieniemy's not getting a head coaching job.
You should be laid off for that. So maybe they can finally lay you off and get a new board so it stops smoking over there in front of beer.
There's no way my salary would cover that.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, Beards would appreciate both of those moves. Yeah, no question.
Sounds like you boys need to unionize. Regardless, look, I just to start it out. By the way, everybody just got fired. So
we can only hope.
No, with
Beards, dump it.
Yeah, seriously. With Bieniemy, it's unbelievable he's not been hired. The guy, and you hear all this stuff, and I'm not saying I'm reporting it, but you just hear, whether it's on Twitter from other reporters, maybe it's not a good interview. Has anyone ever listened to Eric Bieniemy speak at a press conference?
Right.
The man is like giving a sermon every week.
Yeah.
And you got Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, who are like the alpha males of alpha males, who will run through a brick wall for the guy. They love him. You never hear a bad word about him, ever. And yet, he can't get a job. And, I'm not trying to pick on Dan Campbell, who apparently is the front runner. I know he hasn't been officially hired yet for the Lions. But, can anyone tell me what Dan Campbell's done during a head coaching job?
No.
I'm so sick. Look, you get these people who love to, I don't know if I want to say pretend they're, insiders, but they're more inside than they are. I'll tell you, I couldn't believe Dan Campbell hadn't gotten a job by this point. Really? Because you didn't know who Dan Campbell was until 20 minutes ago.
Right.
99% of the NFL world.
Right.
There's no shame in admitting that. It's fine. And Dan Campbell, is just one example of many where you look at this and go, Eric Bieniemy is not only a successful coordinator. If coordinators got in the Hall of Fame, Eric Bieniemy be on his way if they win another Super Bowl here in a month. I don't understand. Robert Saleh was a very good hire. I'm not going to knock that at all. Urban Meyer, I think, is a vanity hire because he won 2 titles 70 miles up the road, and they got to sell tickets. And while I don't love the hire from a football perspective, I get why they did it.
Yep.
I understand it. But if you're going to tell me the Lions, Dan Campbell, and then, Arthur Smith, I do believe, is a legitimate candidate, but Arthur Smith's a better fit as an offensive coach. Arthur Smith just got a clown suit stitched on him by Wink Martindale. I don't know. It makes no sense. If you're a Chiefs fan, look, you're thrilled if Bieniemy comes back. He's tremendous. But I don't get it. I feel for the guy. I think he's getting a real raw deal.
Something I said earlier, and I'm curious if you just agree with this or you tweak it or whatever. I feel like there are a lot of places where the NFL underthinks things. It's a reason that we don't see as much advancement in some ways that I think as I think we should. But this feels like they're overthinking Eric Bieniemy. Because listen, There's stuff about, some things from Colorado, some stuff from his past that people, fair questions and fair stuff to ask him about, but it hardly has seemed like the end of the world, at least in kind of the zoomed out perspective. Maybe there's more there, and that's a part of it. Sure, that's fine. We can have a conversation about how disproportionately white head coaches are compared to what the rest of the league looks. That was a Freudian slip. Looks like, and that I think is a fair part of it. You can have the conversation you want about. Okay, so maybe his interviews aren't as electric as Adam Gase's were. Like the speaking at the podium, giving a sermon every week thing, inarguable, absolutely inarguable. Maybe there's something about his view for that franchise's future that's not terribly impressive, but if that dude's been working with Andy Reid for the last half decade in a very serious way, you don't think that Eric Bieniemy is detailed? That doesn't make any sense. And the overthinking part of it is you can take all of that stuff, and man, I don't really care if Dan Campbell, or just to pick on him again, Adam Gase or Matt Patricia give the greatest interview in the history of the world. They've got this brilliant 5-year, 10-year plan. At some point, the resume has to matter there. Eric Bieniemy's is untouchably good. And you can look at, as you just said, all the references. Andy Reid has taken up for Bieniemy publicly a dozen times in the last 2 years, as has Patrick Mahomes. Tyrann Mathieu talked about him yesterday. Travis Kelce has had some issues with Bieniemy on the sidelines that we've all seen that have come up in moments and then gone away, and he has taken up for Bieniemy, which I only mentioned the sideline stuff because maybe he wouldn't have been the first guy you would think of who do you go to for a testimonial. All of them have his back, and we still get caught up in how is he interviewing. It's so confusing to me.
There's just two things right off the bat. I think if you're even remotely credible, I have to come out. Number one, I get the whole, things in the background in Colorado. Let's just put it all out there. Let's just say it. This is the NFL. If a team thinks that you can come in and help them win, they're overlooking a hell of a lot more than the stuff with Bieniemy at Colorado 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Urban Meyer just got a head coaching job this cycle.
Have we? Urban Meyer has quite a background. I would argue Matt Patricia had an alleged situation in his background. I mean, there are guys, and I'm not saying Bieniemy is squeaky clean, and he's perfect, and he shouldn't be asked about that stuff. He should be. But this idea that he's not getting a job because of that stuff. Meanwhile, there's just a million guys in this league getting jobs who have all kinds of transgressions in their background. I don't believe that. It's not like this stuff happened with Bieniemy yesterday.
Right.
So I don't buy that. I really don't. Then you get into, okay, does the interview well? Is the electric interview? I'm going to go out on a real big limb and say that Bill Belichick's not electric in an interview. Might be very impressive from an intellectual standpoint.
Sure.
But I don't think Bill Belichick's blowing anybody away before all these Super Bowls and you're in New England. And, by the way, I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, having covered the Senior Bowl, Matt Patricia was not blowing anybody away in an interview. Let me tell you right now, okay? I sat there and watched the man look at a big Reese's peanut butter cup at the Senior Bowl because it's sponsored by Reese's, and they're in the front of every single podium. And before he starts talking, he's like, "You guys think this peanut butter cup's real?" We're like, "Yeah." And he takes his finger and puts it right through it, and it's like, "Oh, look at that! It is real." And I was just sitting there with peanut butter cup hand during the interview. Okay, that's a true story. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Matt Patricia didn't just blow the socks off Detroit in his interview. Look, the bottom line is I think Bieniemy rubs people the wrong way. This is just a guess, but I think he rubs some people the wrong way because he's so intense. And but you know what? The guy's a good coach. He wins. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't think Bill Parcells was going around, handing out like stuffed animals. They won. They won all the time. I think it's ridiculous. It's a cheese gain, but you have to feel for Bieniemy.
There was a comment from our Twitch feed a couple of times from Chili Cheese. The Twitch usernames have really gotten my mood in a good place these last few days. And he mentioned there being a report that Bieniemy was looking for the perfect spot, and if that's playing into it. Does that do anything for you? My hunch at this point is that he would like a head coaching job, and also I think we agreed on this last week. I think all of these vacancies have at least a silver lining. I don't know if you're going to find a perfect job anywhere, because if it was a perfect job, it wouldn't be open.
Correct. And while I appreciate the comment, look, that would hold more water if Bieniemy was turning down jobs.
Yeah.
He's not getting offered the jobs.
Yeah.
And you look around, you're like, I mean, you mentioned his name, and I don't care. I'll say it 5 more times. Adam Gase getting the job over Eric Bieniemy a couple of years ago with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
That, to be fair, that probably worked out well for Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody would have succeeded there. I mean, another guy. Yeah, I'm sure Adam Gase was Don Rickles in the interview. Like, are you kidding me? You see look, the reality is, whether you want to throw the race component in there, I'll take the race component out for a second, because I don't know what's in people's hearts. I'm not in these roles. I do think, obviously, you look at the numbers. I mean, there is something to it. But with Bieniemy, look, this is a zero-sum bottom-line business. His track record, even for people who say, well, he doesn't call the plays. He was the running backs coach for Adrian Peterson and Jamal Charles. He is now a guy who is very involved in what the Chiefs do offensively every week. He's very involved. Whether or not he's calling every play or not is beside the point. I got news for you. There's plenty of guys around the league who are coordinators who aren't calling every single play that are getting jobs. I mean, that is just the way it works. You're a coordinator. Ultimately, the head coach has the final say. I am not usually shocked in this business. I am shocked he has not gotten a head coaching job. Shocked. I'm not shocked a lot of times. Like Wink Martindale, I think, can be a head coach. I'm not shocked he hasn't gotten one. He's older, defensive coordinator. Okay. Eric Bieniemy not getting a head coaching job is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. I mean, real quick, and we can move on to some of the playoff stuff, and I also want to talk about the Texans again. But of the remaining jobs, and maybe even specifically to the point of the Texans, do you think that any of them make sense for Bieniemy? I can't remember who it was. I'm stealing this thought from a tweet that somebody had a few days ago, but someone said, if Bieniemy ever ends up taking that interview with the Texans, it'll be a good indicator of how the market was shaking out. We're getting a pretty good look at it now. Deshaun Watson, you can leave this into the Texans if you want. Deshaun Watson's tweeted again, and it really seems like Houston's a mess right now. Is there a chance that Deshaun Watson just says, hire Eric Bieniemy and I'll stop tweeting? Like, what in that kind of, that big, large-scale conversation catches your eye from those other jobs and where Houston's at right now?
First of all, for Bieniemy, I would not go anywhere near the Eagles' job. They're $70 million over the cap. They don't have a quarterback. There's a power play, it seems, always going on there with Howie Roseman. If I'm Bieniemy, I just feel like that's just a tear-down situation waiting to happen with their cap. I wouldn't go there. The Chargers, I think, would be a great job, but you wonder if Dable is going to be the guy, considering he went to high school with the general manager. I mean, just kind of seems like that's going to be the way that trends, or at least it's the way people think it trends. Now, at Houston, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I am insulted that I did not get an interview. He is getting an interview everywhere else. It's the only place you can get interviewed at. And now it seems that they're giving him a token interview and a panic interview because Deshaun Watson is ticked off. I'll tell you right now, look, I'd listen to any job offer ever if it were to come my way. I mean, I think just not doing diligence not to. But if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'd be like, yeah, here's what I want. Essentially a blank check. And if you're not going to give me that, and you're not going to give me some more control because I don't trust Easterby at all, I don't trust the show. Like, if I don't think you should go there. And that's a change in my opinion because Watson's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
He's 25. That division's very winnable. But you're being micromanaged from above by a guy who was a pastor in New England, who now has full control of this thing in Houston. And Casario, who's always going to be loyal to Easterby because Easterby brought him in from New England.
Yeah.
And gave him a 6-year, $36 million contract.
Yeah.
Easterby runs the show there. McNair, he's not going to ever take precedence. Even though he's the owner, he's always going to defer. So I think that is a rough situation. And look, we reported, FanSided, myself and Matt Lombardo, we both reported that was the spot that Bieniemy initially, along with Atlanta, was most interested in.
Sure.
But, now that was before Casario. That was before this Watson blow-up situation. What if you're Bieniemy and you get there, and it's not enough for Watson, he still wants out. Then what?
Then that job is poison, which is such a what an indicator. I mean, from the report that you guys had to how we're talking about them now, I don't there's probably an example with like a roster getting gutted or something. I can't think of many organizations who have tanked their own desirability in one offseason like that. Like within a month like this, where that Easterby story comes out, we're getting more information on him, and then Caserio, and then all this stuff with Watson. Like, go ahead.
They have treated their all-season stock like it's a 24-0 lead. They're blowing it as fast as possible. And they've done an incredible job with it. And, with them, I still believe that Watson getting out of there is going to be tough. He just signed a huge extension.
Mm-hmm.
They have the leverage of just saying, look, we're not going to trade you. I mean, we're an expansion team without you.
Mm-hmm.
But, I do ask myself this. If a situation like this came up in New England over the years, would New England cut bait? And they're the one organization that might be like, you know what, you want out? Fine. And this is basically New England and Texas now.
Yeah.
So, and they have no picks. Like, if you're the Texans and the Dolphins were to call and say, listen, here's Tua, the number 3, I think they draft 18th as well, the number 18 and next year's first. I wouldn't do it if I was Houston, but I think that at least as a call you feel, I still think it's very unlikely Watson gets dealt. I think this would have to get to a point where, like, he doesn't show up for mini camps, for OTAs. He doesn't show up for training camp. Like, if we get to, like a Labor Day and he's still just furious and not there, then I think it becomes a real conversation. But I just like, trading him is just it's death for your franchise. That's it.
If right now you did a full Madden-style fantasy draft, and you take age into account, and you can take their current contract situations and whatnot, just take it with you. So, Justin Herbert's a great value. But if you're going to do a big 32-team fantasy draft right now, everyone goes in the pool, I cannot think of a way that it doesn't go other than Mahomes 1, Watson 2. Like, I think that's... I don't even know what the other... Maybe Josh Allen is up there, but it wouldn't be for me. It would be Mahomes 1, Watson 2.
I mean, I do those I did anyway throughout the season, those quarterback rankings every Tuesday at FanSided. And I can tell you, Mahomes and Rodgers took turns being number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was 1-2, 1-2, whoever was playing better. Once we got to about mid-October and Wilson fell off. After that, Deshaun Watson's my number 3 quarterback, and then it was Josh Allen, and then it was Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it ended for really the last month of the year. And Watson, people who don't see him on a day in, day out, don't understand how ridiculous Deshaun Watson is. I mean, that team is god-awful around it. They can't run. They have no head coach. They have no defense. They're constantly in a position where they've got to throw. He has no offensive line. Other than Brandon Cooks, they basically have you and me out there running routes. And yet, here they are. The guy averaged almost 9 yards an attempt. It was unbelievable. Listen, Deshaun Watson, he is absolutely a Super Bowl-capable quarterback if they ever put anything around the guy. And again, to me, the other part of that is, too, the city of Houston, we've seen when they just flat-out give up on a franchise. Now, I know they're in a new stadium and all that, but the Oilers were drawing with 20,000 people a game before they left. If you trade Deshaun Watson, what happens? Do people go? Do people care? Are they so turned off that they just say, you know what, I'm good, guys. Tell me when you... I really think trading him is like a death knell for them. I do not think they can deal him unless you just get an offer that is so ridiculous that you just say, look, we're negligent if we somehow don't do this.
I can't, and I honestly, I literally think that offer would have to come from like Cincy or the Chargers or something with a quarterback who is a level above where Tua is right now at that price point, and I don't imagine those teams are going to do it.
I agree.
I am preemptively grateful for the number of times we'll be able to talk about the Texans over the next several months, probably. In the immediate, obviously, the divisional round of the playoffs start tomorrow. Rams, Packers, and Ravens, Bills tomorrow. Browns, Chiefs, Bucks, Saints on Sunday. Specifically to the Chiefs and Browns. Has anything caught your eye in terms of, Sammy Watkins is out, Willie Gage is out. The Browns have a couple really talented running backs. They looked good against the Steelers, but it's still a 10-point spread. How are you feeling right now about how that will play out?
I think Kansas City is going to win by a healthy amount. I do not think Cleveland can guard them. The Browns are dead last in quarterback hits. They're 26th in pressure rate. Garrett, as great of a player as he is 3 sacks over his last 8 games. And while you constantly hear about how great the Browns are running the ball, and they did finish 3rd in the league running the ball. You got to give credit where it's due. Chubb and Hunt are the best duo in the league. The last 6 games the Browns have played, compared to the last 6 games the Chiefs have played, if you exclude Week 17, the Chiefs have rushed for 7 less yards over that stretch. And the Chiefs are averaging 4.6 yards an attempt, while Cleveland's averaging 4.2.
Good
So
stat. Like that stat, yeah.
The idea that Kansas City is just somehow going to get run over in this game. Look, all week we've all heard the same thing. Well, if Cleveland can run the ball, I'm going to let everybody in on the secret. The Chiefs are also aware that Cleveland has to run the football. Spagnuolo's not going into this game going, you know what, geez, guys, if we stop David and Njoku, it's over. They understand that the way this game has to go is that Cleveland's got to run for 2 bill. And if they can't do that, they're not going to. I think Cleveland's talented. I really do. Mayfield's played good this year. I think they're the best offensive line in the league. The running game is very potent when it gets rolling. The problem is, I look at them, and other than Denzel Ward, who's a very good corner but doesn't always travel, they are terrible in the slot. They cannot cover tight ends. They give up a lot of deep shots. Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders tweeted out the other day that the Browns are 29th in DVOA against deep passes. They're 29th in DVOA against 3rd down passes, and they're 30th in DVOA against tight ends. That is not a recipe when you can't also get home and hit Mahomes to beat Kansas City. Yeah. I think it's a game where the Chiefs get up on them, they extend the lead, and then it becomes, can Mayfield come back and outduel Mahomes? And frankly, no, he can't. So I think the Chiefs, you've got to be happy with this matchup. If the Chiefs lose this game, it's going to be because the Chiefs played really poorly. That's it.
Real quick, what about the other 3 games? What do you expect the Chiefs to be seeing in the AFC Championship game, and what are you expecting on the NFC side?
So quick on the NFC side, look, I think the Saints are going to win. I know everybody says it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year, but I was looking it up. Since 1970, we've had 20 instances where a team could complete a 3-game sweep. And in those instances, the team that was 2-0 is 13-7 in the 3rd game. And 6-2 over the last 20 years. So I think the Saints are a bad matchup for them. I know everybody's high on the Bucs. The Bucs have beaten absolutely nobody this year. They've won 1 game against the winning team, the Packers. That's it. Lost every other game. And in most cases, gotten throttled. The Rams, Packers, that comes down to one thing. I think the Packers win because Rodgers against Goff. I'm not taking Goff with a broken hand over Rodgers.
Right.
But if the Rams can get a lot of pressure with Brockers and Floyd and Donald, they can win the game. That's how they have to win. But I'll take Green Bay. And in the AFC, I'll tell you what, that to me is the biggest coin flip of the week. If the Ravens can run the ball, and I think the Ravens will run the ball very well, I think they have a very good shot to win. However, the flip side of that is we all know in Kansas City here, the Ravens lost the blitz. They blitz more than anybody in the league. Allen is going to have shots down the field to take. If he can hit them, now the one thing that scares me in this game is going to be very windy. And I know he's got a big arm, but if you start talking about deep balls, I don't care how big your arm is, the ball's going to drift a little bit. So that hurts. I am taking Baltimore. I think Buffalo's a better team, but I think it's the better matchup for the Ravens. I'll take the Ravens by the slimmest of margins to be facing the Chiefs next Sunday at Arrowhead.
That's all great. All the Bieniemy stuff is great. Everything we talked about is great. Nothing will stick with me longer and more permanently than the mental image of Matt Patricia just blasting one of his sausage fingers into a giant Reese's cup to try to verify that it's actually real. Thank you so much for really the gift of that story, Matt. I will treasure it forever.
You're welcome. I'll look through my phone. I might have video of it. If I do, I'll send it over to you.
I mean, it would be...
I don't know if I have it, but I'll look. I know I always record all the interviews. I don't know if I was filming yet, but it's possible.
If there's even any sort of photographic evidence of him just having some chocolate and peanut butter on his little fingies while he's doing a presser, even that would truly be joyous. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Matt Verderame of FanSided, the Stacking the Box podcast, the Arrowhead Addict podcast, the Stacking the Box column on FanSided, all of his work up on FanSided. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. There's no excuse for anyone who's listening to this show to not be following Verderame in every possible avenue that he's putting content on. It's all great. And he told you a story about Matt Patricia punching a hole into a giant Reese's cup. I mean, if that doesn't do it for you, literally nothing's ever going to.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, the last thing you want to do is trust the insurance company. These insurance companies try to rip off good people every single day. My law firm won't let you get ripped off. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know, 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. No one gives you more Chiefs, news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys.
That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Now is the time to establish and or maintain a barrier around your house. Don't let it break down. At Augustine Exterminators, they have you covered. Augustine Exterminators is a family-owned local business since 1966. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online at AugustineExterminators.com. And Augustine is looking for qualified technicians. So call today at 913-359-8627.
It's football season in Kansas City, and that means it's ring season. So as KC hunts for another championship, there's no need to hunt for the best tasting light beer in town. You can run it back this season with the great taste of Miller Lite and enjoy greatness on the football field and in your beer. The official great taste of football in Kansas City, Miller Lite.
Please enjoy Miller Lite responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
You can't own an NFL team and not get hair plugs or something. Like I would. I don't even need them. I'd get hair plugs on my face so I could grow a fuller beard.
With Joshua Brisco.
If I had NFL owner money, I would get hair plugs on my face.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I completely forgot about that liner. Beards, as we were coming back, said there's a liner for everything. So I guess I'll tell you what, man. There are probably a lot of reasons for this. One reason I could absolutely never just fully just go into politics and run for office. It's because I am not just on the radio, in a liner somewhere, documented taking every possible position on every issue. Just because if you talk, I don't consider myself like a flip-flopper. I don't change opinions for convenience or whatever. I mean, not that, I just don't. But you talk into an open mic for long enough, and eventually you're going to say, I am pro hair plugs, I'm anti hair plugs.
I'm a little disappointed in you that after
Me too.
4 years, you haven't learned that. It doesn't matter what you say now. No, you think any of this can actually be held against you successfully? No.
That's a great point.
You think what you say on an open mic actually matters?
That's true.
20 years from now when running for, some office?
Rudy, we've only had the show for 3
not.
years. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Rudy just added a year he just kind of forgot. I was doing some sports Sundays. I was in some sports Sundays and stuff about 4 years ago, I think.
That's fair. Yeah. We've got those.
The 4 years wasn't, the last time there was a big race, comment.
No. Yeah, it was just about that's when I started doing the shows.
Yeah. The Olympics was 5 or 6 years ago.
When that whole thing's gotten wonky now, but because there's a big race and a big talk about big races in the Olympics. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It was definitely 4 years ago, Beards.
But no, but it's close to 5.
Yeah.
Because we're off a year now. They delayed it.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be about 4 years and 5 months since the Olympics would have ended,
Right,
roughly.
pretty much what you said.
Which is closer to 4 years.
Pretty much what you said, right. I'm going to read some comments here from Twitch. One thing that I thought was really interesting, I don't know why I didn't know this, but I didn't know about Brian Daboll being high school buddies with the GM of the Chargers. Which, again, just like, there are lots of different ways you can code stuff like that. And again, I don't mean all of it in Markieff Morris wears number 88 for the Lakers. What a weird basketball number. I don't hate it. You got to be jacked to pull that off. And Markieff Morris is not a small man. If Alex Caruso was wearing 88, that would be not as cool. That would not make as much sense. I looked up at the screen because I saw Beards making a face at the Pelicans-Lakers game that he's currently watching.
Markieff Morris flopped a little bit.
Did he get the call?
Yes.
Wave the wheat or whatever. I don't really know.
Yeah, you got that right. Wave the wheat. Rock chalk it up.
Rock chalk it up. Markieff Morris gets the call.
And then Anthony Davis just ran over somebody.
Where did Anthony Davis go to college? Probably a bad, dumb basketball school, I guess.
Probably. He went to a football school.
He probably went to a football school. Again, I don't even mean that this is always coded in a malicious way, but we find, like Andy Reid talking about, you got to have a good relationship with ownership and your GM and whatnot. Mm-hmm. If you're high school buddies, that's going to get you an inside track. And if you feel like you don't have as much in common with the guy that you're interviewing, you're less likely to get that job, which is makes it inherently more difficult for a younger black coach to get a job from an old white owner. That's just rule of thumb going to usually be a thing that it's going to be a hurdle. It is not a 40-foot tall brick wall, but it's a hurdle. I think we can acknowledge that without all getting very sensitive about it.
Totally.
We can't, but I would like to think that we could. Some comments real quick, chasing a few things from the Verderame conversation. Ice Pyro says, can the Jets trade number 2 overall, 3 more firsts and Sam Darnold? Most of the quarterbacks that are going to get thrown in there are literally going to be throw-ins. Tua's a little more valuable than he moves the needle more than Sam Darnold. But look at how much Josh Rosen's value tanked, after one unimpressive season.
What team's he on now?
He is a Buccaneer.
No, not anymore. He is he was signed off the
Did he go to the Niners?
Yes, 49ers signed him off
that's
the
right.
Buccaneers practice squad.
That's right.
He was a Buccaneer, though, for essentially the entirety of the season until the end when they just suffered injuries and
the Niners scooped him. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, off-season practice squad members only for those two.
But the 4 firsts, including number 2 overall, that might do it. And here's the thing: if I was the Dolphins, who were a bubble playoff team this year, I would do the Tua and you've got extra picks. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins are the exact team to make that type of trade because you're not that confident in your quarterback and you feel like you are a quarterback away and you're not going to be pick free for the rest of the time. You're just going to go from having this crazy surplus to a little bit of a deficit.
Which is also why this is a little bit different conversation. If you can't trade for Deshaun Watson, probably should draft a quarterback at 3.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't hate it because you need to get that part right.
Or former KU football commit Jamar Chase. He should always be known. And I only threw his name out there because I love saying former KU football commit.
Frankly,
Jamar Chase.
Don't even know what he did after he committed to KU other than play good football, presumably for KU.
It's so wild.
And so, I think some team will try a Sam Darnold reclamation project. I just don't know if it's going to move the needle. And again, if you're a team that you feel like it's a pretty short list. If you're a team that you feel like we are close, but we need a quarterback, usually those conversations lead to a team signing Alex Smith or Ryan Fitzpatrick or some veteran or Andy Dalton or again, like Dak Prescott, who I think is a really good quarterback. He's not Deshaun Watson. If you can get, just imagine if the Chiefs were openly shopping Patrick Mahomes right now. Oof. Imagine what you as the Chiefs would need to feel okay about that move happening.
Another franchise.
The reality is the way
if you said we get an NBA team and Tua and all the Dolphins picks, I'd say sorry, can't happen.
I say the way just in all seriousness, just based off like the rules and what you're even how much you're allowed to offer, there is no trade that makes you feel good.
There's really not.
It
could be 10 entire drafts.
Yeah, and I believe in the NFL you can only go through 4 years maybe ahead. I don't think you can. You're not allowed to.
That's probably right.
It's either 3 years because we actually had. It might have been with Verderame like last year around some player. I believe you can only trade picks about 3 to 4. Like it's not like the NBA where you can agree on picks in 2027. In the NFL, I believe I think it's 4 years out. So like 4 years worth of draft picks for a team that is going to be who's going to be drafting and with the last 4 picks of each round.
Because they have Patrick Mahomes now. I don't feel good. That is the reason that here's the best offer you could possibly make. Like, all right, we'll give you 4 entire drafts and Deshaun Watson.
I was going to say the same thing.
And that wouldn't be good enough. And by the way,
also
the
Rockets too.
With the cap and everything, that literally would not work. Go ahead, Beard, make your NBA connection.
We'll take the Rockets as well.
Sure.
Yeah, John Wall.
Can we get 13?
DeMarcus Cousins.
Can we get 13 just as a throw-in too?
Yeah, the restaurant? Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair.
Cool.
But there's
if we get 13, I'm in.
There's just not a package there. It just, I mean, maybe if you're, I think the Bears could talk themselves into that very, very seriously. Trubisky's not going to help. It's just going to be, here's our first-round picks for the next 4 years.
The Bears trading for Deshaun would be funny.
It'd be incredible.
It would be smart for them.
Absolutely.
And it would just be so funny because we'll just spend the next, 5 years being looking at what they gave up and been like,
they could have just taken him.
I wonder if there was a way to get Deshaun Watson without giving up all the draft capital.
Yeah, good point. Good point, actually.
But they should. They still should. Here's the deal. I could, here's the thing with the Bears. I obviously there are no reports about this. I could see Bears ownership not wanting to make that trade because of how it looks publicly. Because again, this is where I think NFL teams sometimes overthink. That's a move. Does it make you look dumb? Are people going to laugh at you? Sure, but you go get Deshaun Watson, you compete.
They've already been doing that,
and people will forget.
Right? Yes, you stop looking dumb the week after you make that sort of move. It's bonkers. Also, here on the Texans front, I'll save my time of possession little conversation for the short next segment. Everyone who's ever played for the Houston Texans is pissed at the Texans right now. Deshaun Watson tweeted today, he tweeted, I was on 2, then I took it to 10, which appears to be a reference to 2 separate things. One is a future lyric. It's not a future song. He's featuring on someone else's song. I don't remember. But it's also verbatim quoting what someone told Adam Schefter last week, which was that whenever the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson was at a 2, and right now he's at a 10, which, by the way, implies that someone may have given Adam Schefter that information that coincided with a future lyric, which would be the funniest possible thing. Or Deshaun Watson just texted him and then he repeated himself. I don't know. I've lost this is annoying.
What are you looking for?
There was a story that had them all these tweets pulled together, but I'm locked out of it right now. So I will recap as I can. J.J. Watt told Deshaun Watson as they were walking off the field at the end of the year, we wasted another one of your seasons. Andre Johnson tweeted for the first time since 2019 that wasn't a tweet promoting Crown Royal. He tweeted, "This is some bull bleep. This is a mess." Arian Foster said, I don't really follow the league that closely anymore, but whenever Andre Johnson says this stuff, something stinks because he's the coolest cat on the planet. I believe he said that verbatim. And then I think DeAndre Hopkins quote tweeted Andre Johnson.
Hopkins and Johnson had that, not necessarily back and forth, but they were talking about the same thing. Yes.
And it just stinks, man. I mean, I don't mean it sucks. I mean, it smells bad.
And then there's a story of Easter B that came out a couple days ago about how he was referencing black people names.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I missed this. Sorry, hold on. Rudy, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. We go to our NBA correspondent, Beards McFly. Beards, did Markieff Morris just get elbowed in the package?
By Zion.
Oh no!
I think it might have been a little above, but it still probably hurts.
Markieff Morris, confirm or deny, Markieff Morris took an elbow from Zion, kind of right into the, as you may call it, the danger zone.
Can confirm.
Who, boy?
Looks painful.
Oh, boy.
Back to you, Josh.
Thank you, Beards.
Yeah, so ads. Okay, report Texans players our player was bothered by Jack Easterby's use of black stereotypes.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that. I can't remember what it was specifically, which is okay. But yeah, and then that guy is the most powerful person in the organization, apparently, even though he was just a chaplain in New England like 5 years ago. If you haven't read the story about Jack Easterby in SI from a while ago, the whole like SI crew got in on that one, like all the big national writers and stuff. That story is bonkers.
He has players to think back to when they were growing up playing ball with Ray and Kiki.
It's just everything. Every story I've heard from him has just been outrageously cringy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dude that McNair's like, yeah, we'll take you.
Here's the not that you should always judge a book by its cover, but you kind of look at Jack Easterby and he kind of looks like a little bit of a cringy guy.
Hang on, I'm Googling.
Yeah.
Also, everyone who's read the book says this book stinks.
Yeah.
Except for the owner of the Houston Texans. They go back to our how's he look correspondent Beards McFly. Beards, does Jack Easterby look?
Is he the bald guy?
Yeah.
He's being treated unfairly. That's what Cal McNair said.
Yeah, he looks a little whiny.
You know who Jack Easterby looks like? Actually, he looks like Bill O'Brien in the after photo.
And some of I don't know if you have his Wikipedia.
Can you?
That's what I'm trying to go to.
Yeah.
Can I not have that one, Rudy? Is that one not where? Can you not give me that one? Can you not give me that he looks like Bill O'Brien in the after photo in the Weight Watchers commercial? Bill O'Brien has a better chin. He has a much thicker chin. Jack Easterby's got kind of a pointy chin.
Maybe I'm just having a hard time seeing. Maybe I'm just having a hard time picturing Bill O'Brien without two chins.
They're just
I'm looking
both
at that
bald.
photo.
They're just both bald, and they in this picture they're wearing Texan stuff. All right, never mind. Bleep me, I guess. You have a better joke to end the segment on, Rudy?
I don't.
Yeah, stunner. Just poop on my joke, and don't bring one of your own to the table. No, perfect.
Sorry.
No, perfect.
I'm sorry.
Twitch comment from Chili Cheese.
Could Jack Easterby be like a Pee Wee Herman knockoff? Kind of looks like that.
Well, if you look at his Wikipedia photo, So Ice Pyro commented on Twitch about how a lot of people liked Josh Rosen and the best out of that quarterback class. And then Chili Cheese said, that's nuts, just like how this couch auction is going to be. And every single time the idea of selling couches around this show comes back into this show's sort of meta, it takes me back to the most confusing day of my radio life, which also implies that some of the people that bring it up now were here then, and the scale does not translate. It does not make any sense to me. We need to take a break. Whenever we come back, I'm going to read you my time of possession stat.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC in Olathe is your destination location for quality new and used vehicles. You'll find the area's largest inventory of new Buicks and GMCs, including the all-new 2021 GMC Yukon, plus a huge selection of hard-to-find models with a hassle-free customer experience. At Brogdon, they know your time is valuable, making sure to give you the fastest car buying experience. And Brogdon is an official GMC Business Elite dealer, serving the entire KC metro area with professional-grade vehicles for your fleet or commercial needs. Visit robertbrogdon.com. See him in person at I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Get to Zarda Barbecue today and try my favorite sandwich, the Turkey Crunch. Only $5.99 for a limited time. Our turkey is deep fried, thin sliced, topped with melted provolone, 2 strips of bacon, house-made chipotle mayo on a toasted Roma bun. This sandwich literally melts in your mouth. And don't forget to stop by the Hy-Vee Kitchen every Friday for Red Friday Zarda Barbecue specials to feed your tailgate. Zarda Barbecue, come get some.
Hey everybody, Corey Anderson here. Join me this Friday as The Zone broadcasts live from Rally House across from Oak Park Mall. Come gear up for Sunday with the best selection from Rally House. Grab your new Chiefs gear and represent for the playoffs. Rally House has loads of jerseys in stock and select Majestic jerseys up to 60% off. They also have scarves, gloves, and hats to keep you warm at the game. So stop by Rally House at Oak Park Friday to see me from 10 to 2 with The Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hindsight is 2020. 2020 was a brutal year with a lot we couldn't control. Pandemic, economy, unemployment. What can we control? Our job, our career. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I'm so confused. The comment section is moving so fast. Why are people trying to buy a couch here? What's going on?
With Joshua Brisco.
There's talk of couches and ottomans and waterbeds.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I've got 97 things to get to in the last 2 minutes of this hour before Mick Shaffer joins us at the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Seth Kaiser tweeted, "Anyone who follows me familiar with great pizza delivery in Orlando?" Sam Ellinger responded, "Seth, are you hurt?" What it sounds like now is it sounds like one of those things where it's like, hey, what would I tweet to tell you that I'd been kidnapped without, telling my kidnapper that I was telling other people that I'd been kidnapped?
I'm thinking about shaving my face while drinking a Diet Coke.
That's it. So Beards, that
Diet
boom.
Pepsi.
Beards, that shoots a flare up. I think for me, anyone who follows me familiar with great pizza delivery in Orlando might be my code phrase. Also,
that or follow me at JB Brisco with an E.
That's also good. Shout out to Landry Shamet, who's about to make some money. He wears number 13 for the Nets as of right now. That's going to be changing.
I think he changed it to 20 already.
He also had a very funny Instagram story, which just has him opening what appears to be a duffel bag of honey buns. It's not actually him, but he's labeled it as being him at Shoot Around tomorrow with James Harden coming over and hovering over him to give him a bunch of money for them. It's a good bit. It's also just nice to be reminded, thanks to Darren Ravel, that Instagram stories can be used for good things. Dan Dockich tweeted a screen cap of a CNN correction. A previous version of the story misstated that Senator Ted Cruz was seen wearing a pin featuring a QAnon symbol. It was later discovered this was not a QAnon pin, but a Doritos snack chip stuck to his suit. He tweeted a Doritos chip ... journalism. That was not really from CNN. That was Photoshop. That had been debunked quite a while ago. Curtis Seabolt of this very station, I think from that room over there, tweeted the correction was satirical. That you could tweet something that is so far off base in the same tweet in which you blasted other journalists is an almost unimaginable irony. Jason Anderson responded, "It's actually very imaginable." And I like that interaction very, very much. Someone on the text line says, Does Arthur Smith sort of look like, or does Arthur Smith look like Matt Castle?
Yeah.
We have established that Arthur Smith is thick Cage, and if that's true, then Matt Castle is fit Cage, both looking somewhat like Nick Cage.
And Nick Cage is Nick Cage.
I'm not going to get my time of possession shot off until after we talk to Mick. We only have Mick for one segment tonight anyway, so that's actually okay. Coming up next, we will talk to Mick Shaffer of 41 Action News, and we'll be back to finish out the show just with the three of us. And I'm going to talk about time of possession. We'll give our final thoughts headed into the playoff weekend with the Chiefs and Browns. That all starts next hour, which starts right after this.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. This weekend, the action continues with the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The action begins Saturday at 3:30 with the Rams and Packers.
Woods wide open, makes the catch at the 5, strolls to the end zone, touchdown LA.
Then it's the Ravens and Bills at 7:15.
Jackson dives, and he's in! Touchdown, Lamar Jackson!
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
What's up, Casey? This is Kate Head with the Red Door Grill. We've never been more proud of the community we're a part of and the support we've received from all of our 810 listeners. We're looking forward to a great year ahead, and remember to leave your troubles at the door. Get in here, Kansas City.
Hi, this is Mr. Truck KC, Tim Grunard here from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs. Better times are ahead, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our store again soon. Thanks for all your support from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Do you purchase products for the food service industry? Then get Regal. Healthcare, get Regal. Hospitality, get Regal. Go to getregal.com. Regal Distributing is a local Kansas City company in the food service and janitorial industry for over 60 years. Regal Distributing saves your business time and money by providing customers with the right product. The time is now to buy from a company that will service the heck out of you. Buy local, buy smart, and buy from a trusted company that has been helping their customers grow for decades. Visit getregal.com and get Regal today.
No one gives you more Chiefs, news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810, WHP.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys.
That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810. WHP. Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Schedule on this Friday night, but only 7 will be played. Back half of the ESPN television doubleheader. Been a very slow start for the Los Angeles Lakers. They trail at home to the New Orleans Pelicans, 38-27. Zion Williamson, he's the only player to go in double figures so far. He's got 11. LeBron James has got 5. 38-28 is your score. 7:43 to go in the second quarter. Game 1 tonight had Milwaukee beating Dallas 112-109 after a 31-point performance from Giannis Antetokounmpo, 9 boards, 1 assist. Chris Middleton, how about some balance, kid? 25 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Luka Doncic was a rebound shy of a triple-double, 28, 13, and 9. But late in the game, Dallas down 2. Luka did not get a chance to take a shot. In fact, after one missed 3 went wild, the Mavericks got the ball back. Never called timeout, and they've settled for a Kristaps Porzingis 26-footer. That went brick wide left. Boston a 124-97 win over Orlando. Among the postponements, Washington and Detroit, 6 more positive coronavirus tests for the Wizards. Their games Sunday and Monday against the Cavaliers are banged. Memphis, Minnesota postponed as well. Karl Anthony Towns announcing today that he has tested positive for the coronavirus. ESPN's Jeff Passan reporting the Yankees and right-hander Corey Kluber finalizing a 1-year, $11 million deal. Kluber, a 2-time former Cy Young Award winner, traded to the Rangers last offseason, threw only 18 pitches before a tear in his shoulder. That was his first start since May 1st of 2019 with a broken forearm.
We're back on Monday with a full reaction to the NFL Divisional Weekend. I'll tell you who my favorites are to advance to the Super Bowl. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I touch my face a lot. I am all over my face.
Yep.
I am fondling my face on a minute-by-minute basis, and I can't stop.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Small business owners.
Last hour of the week, no better way, no other way, really, to kick it off than to talk to Mick Shaffer of 41 Action News, verified at Mick Shaffer on Twitter. All sorts of wonderful things that you can watch on 41 Action News over the course of the days, weeks to come as the Chiefs, I'm going to just say, are on their inevitable march to the Super Bowl. And then you can cut this clip if they lose to the Browns on Sunday. Mick, first and foremost, how did you enjoy plebeian weekend with the 6 games that we successfully, I think, I didn't see anyone else using the old name on Twitter. It was just straight up hashtag plebe week, and the hashtag was there and everything.
Yep. Plebe week, I think it's going to stick. I mean, it has to. It makes the most sense. I appreciate you being the only other person in the world to back me on that. But regardless of what it was NFL football. There was kind of some dud games, Saints Bears. There was a game I didn't watch, Rams Seahawks. And then there was what I thought was the the best game, and maybe it was because, the Chiefs fans were most intrigued by it, which was Steelers and Browns. But the Browns had the best performance of the weekend. I think a lot of that was good fortune, but along with that was some good play. And so it was exciting. The best part is there's no Chiefs. There's no Chiefs. And it's like you just said, the inevitable run of the Super Bowl. It's when you get that bye, it's crazy how close you feel to the Super Bowl, as opposed to if you have to play on Wild Card Weekend. You got to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. 3 weeks of winning, right? It's kind of the mindset to get to the Super Bowl if you have to play on Wild Card Weekend. If you get a bye, it's like your mindset is, all right, we are 1 win away from playing for the Super Bowl, right? It's just that's it. That's it. 1 win away from playing for the Super Bowl. And that's how the Chiefs have been the last 3 years. And it's a huge deal, man. Getting that bye, which is basically a win in the postseason, getting guys, hopefully healed up. It's a big thing. So that's the cool part. You don't have any of the anxiety that all these other 12 fan bases are having to feel. You just get to sit back and let the cards fall.
And you're right that it feels like we hit the sim week button essentially, because the realization that I came to, I was doing my video out at Arrowhead on Wednesday, and I kind of said out loud, like, between the Chiefs and Browns, one of these teams is going to the AFC Championship game. And the only thing that feels even more bonkers than the fact that the Browns are 1 win away from an AFC Championship game is that the Chiefs only have to beat the Browns to end up in the AFC Championship game. Like, it feels like it all kind of happened. The season went by pretty slowly. These last 2 weeks feel like they've been kind of a blur, at least in terms of what's next, even though they haven't played these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's been a blur for me. I'm ready to see Patrick Mahomes play football again. It's been since like Christmas, right? 2 days after Christmas, the last time we saw him play, which it's been on the dot before we see him play again. I think that's obviously a great thing for all the reasons we just highlighted there. And I think this Browns team is the worst team, not by a lot, but by some, the worst team the Chiefs have played in the Mahomes era in the postseason. I think they're worse than I think it's the Colts of 2018 is the worst of the 5 games. Still only 5 games, right? But I think this will be the worst team. Now, whether that plays out on the field, you never know. It's the NFL. Every game's pretty much close or kind of close, and it's the playoffs, and they're going to get closer and tighter. And I'm sure there's going to be some anxious moments in this game. Maybe the Chiefs, especially if they follow their MO, maybe probably be some times where they don't have the lead in this game. But I see them winning by 2 scores, and I think in the playoffs you can call that comfortably.
Do you have any sort of hesitance because of Sammy Watkins not playing in this game?
No.
Okay, go. All right, fine. Next question. So
it's
Clyde
funny,
Edwards
earlier today. Well, I talked about this, and I'm the minority on this. They talked to Matt Derrick, and I'll pose this to you, you and Rudy. They talked to Matt Derrick, and they said, okay, if you could pick one guy to come back for this game, Sammy Watkins or Mitchell Schwartz. Matt thought about it, and as I said earlier on the zone, Matt ruined his streak of saying all the right things for 2 years on that show. He picked Sammy Watkins, and no way, in my opinion. I want Mitchell Schwartz back over Sammy Watkins. Look, I know how good Watkins was the last few postseason games. I think without him, I think the Chiefs still win those games. He was against the Titans to seal it, to make sure they went to the Super Bowl. He had the big catches in the Super Bowl. But I'm going to pick the best right tackle, or arguably the best right tackle in the game, over maybe your 4th best option on the team when it comes to throwing the ball.
Now
that's my statement.
You're giving me like 2019 Mitch Schwartz, right? Because beginning of this year, it seemed like he was dealing with it. You're saying full health.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
If I can give one of them,
I don't know if I'm doing that. I don't know. I'll say he comes back. He starts practicing, which he's out, right? Or he's obviously not playing. So is Sammy. But if you start, I'd say both of them start practicing this week. You still have, it's 2020 Mitch Schwartz. You still have, he hasn't played in whatever it is, 8 or 9 games.
But healthy enough to play.
I'm still taking Schwartz.
I don't know. I don't know if this is just me trying to keep that heat from hashtag plebe week and everything, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
I've referred back to this several times before the season on Time Czars, the podcast on The Athletic. Me and Nate Taylor and Seth Kaiser did a little draft of non-Patrick Mahomes members of the Chiefs offense in terms of like, all right, let's say if we're trying to build our own little rosters from the Chiefs offense, who goes where. And if memory serves, the first three picks in order were Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mitchell Schwartz. I think I took Schwartz because I think that the difference between listen, because we talked about this yesterday. We talked about it some tonight. Like the fact that Sammy Watkins can win one-on-one matchups in a way that can punish defenses for doubling Kelce and Hill, the Chiefs think there's value in that because they keep paying him to do it. But if especially against the Browns, you could give me, let's at least say, not week 4 Mitch Schwartz because he was struggling. If that's the case, then I would probably just take Watkins. But if you're giving me a predominantly healthy Mitchell Schwartz, he's now dealing with Myles Garrett, which is making the rest of your offensive line's job significantly easier.
And
so
Rimmers can move to guard. I know Rimmers has been fine at right tackle, but Rimmers can move to guard. I think it strengthens up 2 positions on the offensive line. And by the way, the offensive line is still in charge of protecting Patrick Mahomes.
Yep. Yeah, I at the very least, I think it's close to a toss-up, but I think I'd lean in the Mitch Schwartz direction there also.
And look, I mean, I know we kind of, we'll make jokes about Demarcus Robinson and stuff he does with the ball in his hands. And then McCole Hardman can kind of be not reliable at times. But Patrick Mahomes makes those guys who they are. And you got Byron Pringle, too. I think you have plenty of guys that can step up and be, 90% of Sammy Watkins, or if you ask me, can be 110% of Sammy Watkins. And the Chiefs will be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he got Chris Conley a new contract.
That's
okay,
true. Yeah.
In 2018, I think for a lot of those guys outside of Hill and Kelce, Mahomes makes those guys what they are. So I would take Schwartz. But I mean, everybody's allowed to be wrong. Honestly, guys. So.
I do firmly believe that like the offense looks different when Sammy Watkins out there. You can't really quantify it, but we've seen like you said, McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, and Byron Pringle have all had big games in the NFL. Like if you're giving me a healthy Mitchell Schwartz, like I'll take that all day. So I think that increase from Rimmers to Schwartz is just much greater than say dropping from Sammy to McCole or Sammy to Pringle, because again we've seen them all have massive days out there. They're all capable of that, and because of Patrick Mahomes. And if Patrick Mahomes is laying on his back, it's hard to make those guys look good.
Yeah.
And you're used to not having Sammy Watkins. Let's be honest. He misses multiple games every single season, and you're just fine. You're just everything's fine. No, it's funny because we talk about this and talk about the receivers and the running backs. I think a great offensive line can turn a guy into a great offensive line can send Terrell Davis to the Hall of Fame, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a bad offensive line can make Jamal Charles look average.
Right.
I think you shore up that part, I think all the skill position guys get better.
One thing that you mentioned in one of the games that wasn't very interesting from Plebe Week. Did you watch the Nickelodeon broadcast at all of Saints Bears?
I did, and I loved it.
It's okay. I'm excited about this, and I want to know why you love. I'm not going to give you my whole hand, other than that I also enjoy. I watched literally whistle to whistle. I watched SpongeBob's pregame show, and then I was there until the final whistle. Why did you like it so much? What did it do for you? Because you obviously have I'll say it, a good eye for television.
Right? Yeah, I do. You know what? It was just kind of pure, and it wasn't jaded like a lot of broadcasts are, like a lot of us are watching professional sports in the NFL. And they had talent on that show. Iron Eagle's son, Noah, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's like 24,
Yep.
but he doesn't sound like anybody that's a couple of years removed from college. He sounds like a guy that's going to be on CBS, is like working the number 3 team in like a few years.
Yep.
Really good, just like his dad, who was criminally underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a 15-year-old Nickelodeon star, right? She's a singer or something like that, Gabby Green.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She was great on the microphone. She obviously knew nothing about football, but that was just fine. And then you had Nate Burleson, who I think is going to be a star. He was awesome on that broadcast.
Yep.
And I've seen him on NFL Network more and more now as I watch that channel more. And he's really good there. I think he can be, again, one of those guys who can start teaming up and doing regular color it seems like we're kind of in an age where we're kind of getting a new younger talent for those games. I think he would be a great fit on one of those teams. I tweeted out that Noah Eagle has already been saddled with broadcast partners better than his dad, because Irons had Charles Davis and Dan Fouts.
While you were talking about Iron Eagle being underrated, Rudy killed our mics and said it's because Eagle had been with Dan Fouts, and that's such
right?
Yes,
it's so true.
Yes, 100%, 100,000%. Because listen, at least the Gabby, the 15-year-old girl, at least she sounded like engaged. You know, she was into it. She was trying to learn.
Yeah.
Dan Fouts couldn't give a bleep.
Absolutely, and I loved how they explained everything in detail. And I also tweeted out that I need shows like that for like the stock market for me, right?
Yes.
This is a share. This is what happens when you buy a stock and like, okay, I'll take that. For a lot of things in my life, I would love that broadcast. So I think the NFL, honestly, has stumbled onto something there. And maybe it's, Disney next, or it doesn't have to be kids, programming. It could be other channels with different themes. I suggested NFL broadcast during Shark Week.
Sure.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And
the red zone is now like a pool full of, with sharks swimming or something like
that. Instead of
It's
slimes, you just drop. Instead of slime, you have a shark just drop out of the top of the stadium.
And then we get like a holographic. Can Tyreek Hill run faster than a shark swimming?
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that.
All day.
And what I've always wanted, which is HBO to get rights to professional games, to where you can cuss on the air.
Yes.
And then maybe the broadcasters are naked or something like that. Nudity is allowed on HBO.
And now HBO has named their new broadcast booth, and Dan Fouts is back. Oh God.
It's a Game of Thrones broadcast.
Yeah.
For the NFL would be awesome.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The one thing that sort of struck me towards the end of the Nickelodeon game, because again, I was thinking in the fourth quarter. At one point, someone tweeted about how they weren't going to give up Tony Romo because the game was on CBS, and I thought, you know what, I thought I would like to see what Tony Romo is saying about some things, and I thought, well, this game's actually pretty much over, and with the exception of, I'm gonna leave somebody out, and I'm not including play-by-play because like you said, Noah Eagle was great, Ian Eagle is great. Everybody, the most of the play-by-play voices, Kevin Harlan, for the love of God, like most of the play-by-play guys do a really excellent job. But in terms of color commentary, Romo, Collinsworth, even like Louis Riddick, who I think says great things about football, the space that he has to work in is so small. And then you get to your average dude, just kind of your 3-team on CBS or whatever. Yeah. And it's not actually adding to the experience. I didn't miss that sort of middling analysis. Whenever Collinsworth breaks out the telestrator or Romo is explaining things, during the replay, I do learn something that I didn't see with my own eyes. But for the most part, I really don't. In the Nickelodeon one, they weren't trying to tell me something that I should have not known by then. It was just fun, and it's just kind of relaxed in a way that it was a good viewing experience, even as someone who theoretically knows a decent amount about football already.
Yeah, I remember it was several years ago. My oldest was like, we're watching the game. He's like, Dad, I can tell what the commentator's going to say after every play. I'm
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I know. Because that was the tail end of the Deerdorf and the Faust days of where, okay, you pick up 5 yards on first down. This is what I'm going to say. Here's a 15-yard pass play. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's a sack. This is my scripted line every single time. It was literally like Madden.
Yeah.
To where when it happens on Madden, there's a little button push inside that PS5, right? And that line comes out. Although now it's really lifelike on the Madden and the NBA games. They're like have conversations and they really don't repeat much. It's crazy how good they are there. But that's what it was forever. And I'm with you, Collinsworth, Romo. There's a handful of guys out there that stand out. It seems like on the analyst side, there's a much broader range from good to bad as there is on the play-by-play side. Pretty much everybody on the NFL broadcast. Now, ESPN rolls the people out there on college broadcasts that should not be calling games, in my opinion.
Right.
But, I mean, all those CBS and Fox guys are pretty much Syracuse dudes that were born to do this. And, so they're really good. But, yeah, I think you had the biggest discrepancy on the analyst side.
Because there are definitely 15 really, really good, almost indiscernible play-by-play people who can do NFL games. I mean, and you get the radio ones which branch out, but all of those. I mean, you're right. That there are few enough jobs there that it seems like they're almost all in good hands. But the analysis, it's just the Madden comp is perfect. It's perfect because you know what I do whenever I'm playing Madden? I usually turn that off or I put in an earbud and listen to something else completely unrelated.
Yeah.
Because they're not actually they're not enriching the experience in any way. So I think that's really interesting. Is Eric Bieniemy just not going to get a head coaching job? Because it kind of seems like he might not.
Ever or this year?
This year.
No, I don't think so this year. He might need to start his own team.
Get some investors. Let's get a 33rd team. Hey, we can make this happen.
What is it going to take? What is it going to take? It's genuinely... It's a bit baffling in some ways at this point. Like I maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I can't help but be at least a little bit.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I am shocked. We did an interview with Steve Mariucci though, and he kind of calmed me down a little bit this week. I'm like, what's it going to take? He's like, I go, is it now or never? He's like, of course not. No, he's young. It's 3 years because we kind of get that now or never feeling. Here in Kansas City, because it's been 13 interviews with 12 different teams, and how many times is he going to have to hear no? And he said, look, you've got to fit. You're in there, in this case, on a Zoom call with the GM and the owner, and you've got to jive with them right away. You got to be the right kind of fit. You have to have the right style, approach, and all that. And if it doesn't match, it doesn't match, no matter, I guess, what your production is, or how many times you've led the league in total yardage, or what coaching tree you're coming from. That matters most. And that's the problem. We talked about it today, is that all the evidence we see on the outside, media and fans, is like all great stuff for Bieniemy, right? It's all great stuff. The production, the yardage, Mahomes, what he's done, the play calling, and winning a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm shocked. That last year I was trying to calm everybody else down. Like, he's been an OC for 2 years. He's won the Super Bowl. He's going to get one. And they have 7 openings this year, and it appears that he might not get an offer. I would have thought he would have had multiple offers, had to choose from this year. We'll see if it shakes out. The 49ers DC, is it Saleh? Is that how you say his last name? Saleh.
Robert Saleh.
He got hired. He is a minority hire. We'll see if there's any others. But there have been, and so not that argument goes away. It's certainly there. It's certainly something you investigate, but you also investigate the stuff you can't see, like I was talking about.
Sure.
Of okay, what happens during this interview? How do these go? I have no idea. I cover sports, but I have no idea what a head coaching interview goes through. I mean, do you have your resume right there? Do you have this big old binder with these are my plans for everything? You would think that Bieniemy, coming up under Andy Reid, who is notorious for having a plan for everything, would have something very detailed out. But I don't know. We don't know, and that's something that Mariucci kind of hammered home. To what there's the Rudy rule, there's the the black head coach issue, and that's something, like I said, needs to be looked at. But there are many other reasons why he might not be getting a job as well. So, but yeah, I'm shocked. I can't believe it, and kind of it felt like the Falcons were his best chance, and it looks like that's not going to happen if Arthur Smith takes that job. And so, they're running out of openings. So But I am calmed down to where I don't think it's now or never. I think there's always going to be have his opportunity. But I mean, look at a guy like Dave Tobe. He's never got his shot despite success. Although I think he's been buried in special teams hell. Right, special teams coordinator. Like, try selling that to a fan base.
Yeah,
you know that's
you just have to lean on John Harbaugh. You just have to say he is John Harbaugh. That's your only real hope.
Yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing is like I can't remember what national writer or publication tweeted it out. They said with Bieniemy, there's some concerns that he's worked under, with coming from the Andy Reid coaching tree. And at first you're like, wait, it's like the most successful coaching tree since Bill Parcells, right?
Right.
And but then his point was like on the defensive side, offensive has been, according to him, lacking lately. And so what do you look at? Nagy and Peterson. Peterson did win a Super Bowl, but he did just get fired. Nagy survived the hot seat, I guess, this year and backed his way into the playoffs to where you could at least look at both of those and say, hey, they're not home run hires, and they're not even John Harbaugh or Ron Rivera, who are defensive guys. Sean McDermott was a Andy defensive guy. To where the book might be is okay on offense here it's all Andy with these Chiefs, and so it does stink. I think they've been so good offensively that you can just say, well, yeah, you got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, you got Hill, you got Andy. Of course you're going to succeed, as opposed to Arthur Smith, right, who's like there are less expectations. Other stuff's falling out around him, and he was able to do a good job because he's exceeded expectations.
Yeah, which is also it's just interesting to say, like, you did not as impressive a job in a worse situation. It's like, I don't know. I don't think that's even a terrible line of logic. It's just there's so many factors. The one thing about all of the issues with not being a nearly representative number of minority head coaches in the league as opposed to the amount of minority players in the league, and over the last 30 years and whatnot that should theoretically kind of breed more coaches. The one thing is something that Andy Reid talked about that you just touched on, where Reid said, look, you got to have that relationship with the ownership right away. They've got to trust that you guys are going to work together well and all that. And I do think that it's got to be significantly harder to be a younger black coach. He's not young, but younger than a handful, especially than the predominantly old white guy owners that he's interviewing with. There's at least that. I don't think that it's necessarily malicious, but there is going to be an extra barrier there. That it's a hurdle that he and Saleh, who successfully cleared it, are going to have to clear. That Doug Peterson. It doesn't surprise me that Doug Peterson was able to vibe with, and we'll probably get another head coaching job at some point because he's able to vibe with some NFL owners.
Yeah, and then another thing. I mean, in this climate, in this culture where it seems like everybody is and should be, making sure they're hiring on merit and making sure that they have a diverse working environment. What we've gone through this past year, that adds to my shock. That you would think, okay, in some situations, if all things are equal, if they like these two candidates, then they would give the nod to a minority candidate, just because we've just the disparity that we see right now, and say, okay, maybe this is the answer for us. And look, and like I said, we don't know so much about what goes on in it, but I would say this: even if Bieniemy is hurt by all the production, right? Ironically, that his team and his offense has put up, guys have gotten jobs for decades because of that, right? It's because it's all the time. The number one offense in the NFL, the OC is like the top guy for the next head coaching job since the beginning of the NFL, and so for that to be work against him, I don't see why.
Yeah, Brian Daboll put up some stinkers, but he's made Josh Allen look great, so he's getting all the interviews and whatnot.
By the way, I don't remember Brian Daboll as the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Do you remember?
I do.
2012, It's a forgettable year. I legit do not remember him.
I do, because he used to look like someone that was like a friend of my dad's, and I remember like literally being like, he looks very much like this guy. And is he the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs? Oh, well, it doesn't really matter because Brian Dable's not going to be the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs for very much longer. So yeah, a forgettable tenure, I think, is fair. We've covered, I think a pretty kind of important issue. So I think let's push the envelope. Let's go one more kind of level deep and serious here. I don't know if you saw this because it was right after the zone wrapped up today. There's a report that LeBron is going to leave Coca-Cola and is about to sign a massive deal with Pepsi. He's been with Coke for 18 years.
LeBron is with Coca-Cola?
He's been with Coca-Cola for 18 years, which I know you knew, but
remember any LeBron Coke ads?
Sprite.
There been a lot of them?
The Sprite ones.
Yeah.
The Sprite,
Sprite. Yeah, okay, yeah. I gotcha.
And so now the question is he going to be the face of 7-Up, which I imagine is probably a Pepsi product?
Sierra Mist should be.
Oh, is it Sierra Mist?
That's the worst decision than going back to Cleveland. You're dropping Coke for Pepsi?
Well,
Wild Cherry Miami Pepsi for Cleveland.
Wild Cherry Pepsi absolutely crushes. I will stand up for Wild Cherry Pepsi now and forever.
Nowhere near Cherry Coke, but sure, go on.
Listen. I came with you on Plebe Week and on Mitch Schwartz over Sammy Watkins, and if we have to depart on Wild Cherry Pepsi, then so be it. But if you were able to just sort of secure one really significant brand deal, you end up with the gold card for the product. That's something that's attached to you forever. I have at least one guess as to what your first answer may be. But what would you say? You know what? That's where I'd like to put my name.
And so I get that product for free for the rest of my life?
Yeah, and you are the blank guy. Like that it becomes your brand right there.
I mean, Coke's up there, right? That's going to be like one of the biggest brands. I come from you should see my parents' basement. They're a Coke family. They collect everything Coca-Cola, the plates they eat on, the silverware, everything is Coca-Cola. It's insane. But I want to give a better answer than that. Now, immediately I go to like car company. Should I be the Ferrari guy?
Wow,
that's pretty good. Where I get those?
That's probably the right answer, honestly, because I would just love to. Really, any car company, if I just knew that as soon as my check engine light comes on, I can just drop it off at the dealership and say, hi, I'm Joshua Brisco from TV and radio. You guys will handle this, right? And then they'll fix it and then give it back to me. That power would be worth more money than I'll ever see.
How about this? Could I be like a mortgage guy to where I don't have a house payment? I was like J.C. Nichols spokesman. I don't have a house payment.
I was gonna say I'm the Reese Nichols guy. They're just giving me houses.
All right, that's and this is also why I'm glad that I got to run this idea by you guys, because I was sitting here thinking
and house though is like I've
got my checkbook out. I'm just going through my biggest payments right now.
Right. I was thinking too small. I was thinking, man, Mick could have infinite roller food from Quick Trip. He could.
Oh, you're right. That's the answer. That's it. QT.
You walk into QT with the big Q cup. You're probably a big Q guy, right? Are you a styrofoam cup guy?
Styrofoam. I mean, unless you want your drink to only last 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So I want to get the styrofoam cup. Let's be honest here. That thing will last for hours. Hours in there. It's worth the extra dime.
Here's what I've got now. Then I've got you've got the styrofoam cup, but what you take in with you every time is a solid gold sleeve that just perfectly cups the outside of a big Q styrofoam cup, and then you walk in with that. You get a fresh styrofoam cup every time, but you pop that in there, fill her up. You just walk right out the door. They go, wait, sir, excuse me, and you turn around. You just hold up the gold cup, and they go, oh, Mr. Shaffer, I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize you, but I should have. I'm going to resign in shame because that is your power.
No, I'm totally down with that. Although I might have a bit. Can I somehow be the spokesperson for parenting? Because kids are the most expensive thing in my life and anybody else's if you have them. So I want to be the spokesman for parenting. Oh, okay, you be our spokesman with a parenting PSA company out here. We make commercials, make PSAs for being good parents. You're a spokesman. We will take care of every expense your kid ever has. Sign me up for that.
That's pretty good.
Or I've got more here, guys. Can I be the Oklahoma State spokesman to where my kids can go to college.
As soon as you went parenting, I knew. You said one more.
Yeah.
College makes a lot of sense. I think you could definitely make the Oklahoma State thing work. I do think that between, let's say, Quick Trip and good parenting, you probably have a little sort of thicker resume for the QT side of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah,
you
that's
want
true.
to have a shot to get that gig.
That is true. I've been much better at patronizing QT than I have been. And much better than I have been a parent because I patronize my kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, I'm glad that you. I was sitting here saying, "Oh, it says patronize again." Just kind of. Listen. What I just did right there, me analyzing that joke that you just made, was basically me being an NFL color commentator, adding nothing but filling silence. Which, by the way, if that's not our whole job, is just filling silence, I don't know what else it would be.
We're all just killing time till we die, finding stuff to do.
I guess on that note, thanks, Mick. We'll talk to you again next week unless we die or fail to fill time by then.
If we die, we will not talk next week.
Yeah, that's that's fair.
I think
All
in
right.
the afterlife we got a podcast.
Oh man, welcome to the Hellcast. It's almost entirely lakes of fire with Mick Shaffer.
Instead of saying bye, mom, each week, you say, "Hope you don't die, everybody." New outro.
Stay alive, folks. Don't meet Jesus
Bye,
or
Mom.
Satan or
Right,
whoever.
of course. I think you need to find something else. Hope you don't die, because genuinely, I mean, every time we depart, we hope the other person doesn't die. That's like I hope nobody dies.
Yeah.
That can be your outro. Hope nobody dies.
I got a list of like 3 people.
There's a couple people you want.
Well, you know what? I mean, Dan Fouts isn't even on TV anymore, so it's probably just like 2.
Troy Aikman.
No, you don't want to put that out into the world.
No,
You get
I
it right
don't.
back.
No, I don't. No, listen. I've picked enough fights with really underperforming Hall of Fame quarterbacks, as Rudy just pointed out, and so I don't need Dan Fouts' heat. It's just at this point, it's kind of me versus Troy, and I certainly don't want him to die at this point. Think about all the Twitter engagement he's gotten me. I hope he lives forever.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been a good segment. Thanks, Mick. I hope you don't die.
Thank you.
Mick Shaffer, 41 Action News, still alive, saying goodbye to my mom and hoping that you don't die.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
Sam's new project needs a project manager right away if she's going to manage to hit her deadline.
It took an extra week to get approvals, but they still want the original delivery date. I guess we'll figure something out.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready for the Chiefs and Browns with all-day coverage on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It begins at 8 a.m. with Chiefs Tailgate, then Josh Brisco hosts our Red Zone Playoff Special, and Seren takes over at 11 with the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show. After the game, tune into the best post-game show in town, featuring the latest from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and your phone calls. The best Chiefs coverage is right here on your home for the NFL playoffs, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you have chronic joint pain, not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way, and now it's available in our area from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics, now off 435 and State Line. This is Stephen St. John, and I'm talking about new therapies, advanced all-natural regenerative cell treatments that not only give you relief, but speed up the process of healing and repair. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulder, lower back, hips, or pain from arthritis, or even pain from an old injury, you need to learn more about these potent new regenerative solutions. Call now for a free consultation. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and restore tissue. They actually allow your body to heal itself. Regenerative medicine is here. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics off 435 and State Line. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299.
Work hard and play hard with Easy Sport, Boulevard's refreshing rally ale. Infused with tangerine peel and sea salt, Easy Sport hits the shelves at only 99 calories and 4.5 carbs. This subtly salty, slightly tart beer packs a punch of flavor. Whether you just finished a run, a pickup game, or mowing the lawn, Easy Sport is a refreshing, guilt-free way to celebrate the everyday. Grab an Easy Sport, Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Rudy's out here trying to establish the dumb.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Myself, there it is. Oh,
who's,
man.
Who's establishing the dumb out here?
During the break, Rudy and I were both just talking about how genuinely really, really nice it is to have beards back.
Any insults?
And then he plays the liner about Rudy establishing the dumb and fails to turn my mic on.
That was for a lead-in for your time of possession stat.
Ah, well,
that's what that was for. That wasn't for Rudy. That wasn't for Rudy. That was
for me.
That was establish the run. That was what that was for.
That's fair.
Which is fair. If the Browns' the only chance of winning is if they establish the run. I firmly believe this.
Yes, agreed.
It really
the running the football is when you put it up in the air, right? Like, and a guy runs underneath it and catches it.
Yeah,
that is running the football.
Yeah,
correct?
you run it up into the air.
Yes.
With anti-gravity.
Yes.
And then it comes back down with gravity, and you run under it and catch it.
And then you run to the end zone.
That's right. Mostly running. All right. Beards, can I get a breaking news at your earliest possible convenience? I am finally about to give the time of possession stat that I have now been meaning to talk about for really, I was going to say 2.5 hours, really 2 days. Breaking news, please. It's not actually my stat, although I had the privilege of reading it before it was published. It's up an Arrowhead report. This is obviously a conflict of interest. I'm obviously now self-promoting in a way that I'll self-promote, cross-promoting in a way.
That you never do? Yeah,
I self-promote all the time. I don't cross-promote. I try to
cross-self-promote.
I want the snake to eat its own tail in a way that it survives by the end. I don't know. What does that sound?
It's like when you get to the end of your drink. Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Remember when we used to do that anytime we would take a drink?
Drink whenever I self-promote. I forgot about that bit.
So the problem was there was more water in there.
I swear to God in heaven, Rudy, if you talk about this so long,
I just need 2 seconds. There was more water in here than I thought there was, and so all of a sudden I was like,
time to break.
I was like, oh God, where's the please water? Please get the in.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and I'll give you my time of possession stat. I'm going to do it now. The research and the story here, again, shameless cross-promotion notwithstanding. If you go to arrowheadreport.com, it's been a sort of side project that I've been working on throughout basically since April with Sports Illustrated. Been a great experience. It's where Tucker D. Franklin, little Chiefs boy, has really found his footing. And the crew of people who write I don't write nearly as much as everyone else does. I just go, the little Chiefs boy does the writing, and all this cast of characters writes, and I do my share of editing it all. And been a great little project along with Times Ours. Not that they're together, but 2 separate little additional sort of side projects that I've been really happy to be able to do for a while now. And this is one of the stats that jumped off the page to me. Connor Christofferson, one of our writers at Arrowhead Report. I cannot remember for the life of me his Twitter handle off the top of my head. I'm going to find it because I'm going to give him the cross promotion because he did work on this. He was telling me this is not available on Football Reference. He's Connor_DKC. Thank you, Beards. He did the work on this one. He wrote about time of possession, how it's not going to impact the Chiefs here. It doesn't impact the Chiefs. It's not going to save the Browns this weekend. And this is the stat to me that I think is the absolute knockout statistic. But before I get to that, I'm going to get breaking news one more time. Whenever we talk about time of possession, usually we can at least drag even Pete Carroll and Greeny and hashtag Greeny over to say, well, okay, can we at least, you want to get one more cut at that?
It's me, Greeny.
You can at least usually drag the time of possession conversation over to instead talking about number of possessions. Because at least we can all, listen, what's more valuable, a 7-minute drive that ends in a field goal or a 30-second drive that ends in a touchdown? With incredibly few exceptions, the touchdown makes it more important. Good use of the button, Beards. So if we talk about number of possessions, okay, well, there was the analogy that Ethan Douglas wrote about in The Athletic. He talked to us about it a few weeks ago. The analogy is, if you're going to have a 3-point shooting contest with Steph Curry, you want that number of shots you both take to be as low as possible. If you each shoot 100 threes, you are going to lose, no question. If you each take one shot, there's a chance that he bricks it, and there's a chance that you bank it in. So you would have a much better chance beating Steph Curry in a 1 out of 1 3-point shooting competition than a 100-shot competition. If you are the inferior team or you're the underdog, you want to increase randomness by decreasing sample size. So theoretically, if you could, instead of the Chiefs, if both teams are scoring all the time, maybe you're thinking, all right, maybe each team gets 15 possessions in that game. All right, well, what if we take 9-minute long drives and just chew up the clock? What can we get that down to? Because if you could hold the Chiefs to 4 possessions in a game, I'm going exaggerating in both directions. If you could hold them to 4 possessions in a game, well, then there's a better chance that they have an uncharacteristic 3 and out and 1 turnover. And then if they scored 2 touchdowns, all right, well, now you've batted 500 there. That's pretty good. You got it. Now you just have to score on 3 of your drives because they only scored touchdowns on 2 of theirs. So number of possessions is at least a smarter metric, even though as Seth and Ethan and Nate wrote about in The Athletic a while back, the possession number is still something that doesn't move as much as you might think. Here's what Connor Christopherson wrote in Arrowhead Report today. In the Chiefs' 10 worst games by total time of possession under Mahomes, the Chiefs averaged 10.2 drives per game. So whenever they had in their 10 games with the least time of possession, they averaged 10.2 drives per game. In the Chiefs' 10 best games by total time of possession under Mahomes, they averaged 10.7 drives per game. Worst games by time of possession versus best games of time of possession moved the needle by an average of half a possession per game. That is not in any way meaningful for how the game is going to play out.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, if the Chiefs only have 10.2 possessions per game, don't think there's a less chance of them winning than if they had 10 possessions per game. 10 to 10.
Sorry, you said it so slowly that I was actually preparing a rebuttal.
No, I think it's a dumb question.
I think the difference between 10 possessions and 10 possessions is probably minimal.
Yeah.
I knew that one was coming. That one I knew. I could see that breaking is coming as it was coming around the corner there. What does end up looking like time of possession mattering is whenever you have a 3 and out and you punt the ball back after possessing the ball for maybe a minute, that's going to crush your time of possession. But the problem isn't that you only possess the ball for a minute on that drive. It's that you possess the ball for 3 plays on that drive and then punted to the other team. That's where time of possession ends up looking bad whenever they're, because I think the stat is in those 10 games on either side or whatever, they're 9-1 versus 5-5 or something like that. The issue there is that if the offense isn't playing well and the defense is giving up long drives, which by the way, long drives typically mean first downs, not getting off the field on third downs. Well, then those can be a canary in a coal mine of the actual issue. The issue isn't the canary. The issue is what is the gas in the cave that keeps it from coming back out again. That, I think, might be the biggest issue here in the way that we talk about this. Winning time of possession or limiting time of possession or whatever, you are not inherently doing anything there. As one of the many products of offensive failures or defensive failures, whatever, off of bad games, your time of possession numbers will look a certain way. Similarly to how, whenever the Chiefs give up 160 whatever yards rushing, their record is worse than whenever they don't. Well, because at that point in the game, typically, you've got teams that are moving the ball consistently, and you're running out the clock in the last 6 minutes, like the Texans did, I think, a couple years, not in the regular season last year.
The team running the ball has the lead.
Which they've gotten by any number of ways.
And I remember Petro talked about this, it was a long time ago when I was doing remotes. He talked about the fact that it was like, he used to think running the ball mattered, and basically what he learned was, no, the reason why teams that were good had high rushing yards is because they were ahead.
Right.
They were getting the lead, and then
you play it safer.
And then they would start to play it safer. Like guys, it wasn't that they were having success because they were running. It was because they were just good teams winning, and that led to more running the ball late in games.
Yep. It's why some stats, and some places we're getting more sophisticated in how we measure these things. Mm-hmm. What did you just wave me off for, Beards? You waved me off at something.
I was going to make a dumb joke, but the time passed.
That was just to you. You waved yourself off there is what happened, but I saw it. What was the joke? Go ahead.
That poor canary.
We've gotten a little more sophisticated in things like looking at EPA whenever the winning percentage is between 10 and 90% or whatever. So if you're down by a lot or up by a lot, we might cut those out as noise for the most part. And that's helping in some of these cases. And I think that using time of possession as the canary, as one of a lot of birds that you're throwing to their death, there may be a inkling of information that you can glean from that, which is to say, look, whenever these things happen, whenever you get this result in time of possession or whatever, then look at the process that led to that. The process is the actual issue, not whatever random. I think the Browns lost time of possession to the Steelers. They definitely did, actually.
It was by about 5 minutes.
I think the Colts and Steelers both won time of possession in the AFC playoff games last week. Those aberrations should only help to indicate, hey, this stuff is largely pretty random. And the reason the time of possession thing is so deeply frustrating to me is because it's not that we're just picking one useless stat over another one. It's that we talk about this useless stat and as if it has inherent meaning when there are such better ways we can talk about how to beat the Chiefs, what the Browns could do, where the Chiefs need to make sure that they, patch up all their holes and bail the water out of the boat. The amount of time that either team has the football is totally irrelevant. And you can't keep Patrick Mahomes in the sidelines. You just need to score points, and then he's going to get the ball back unless you pull off an onside kick, which by all means, give it a shot. But don't worry about if the clock is running or not. Like, with time of possession, you are punishing yourself whenever your receiver runs out of bounds. That's nonsense! That's nonsense! Beards, can I get breaking news, please? We need to take a break.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Championship Barbecue is now available at your fingertips with the new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue online ordering app. Place your order for the legendary Z-Man or Rocket Pig sandwiches, slabs of ribs, or a burn-end dinner right now. It's just a few clicks from your smartphone, and your order will be hot and ready for curbside pickup. The new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app is perfect for a weeknight dinner with a family or feeding your entire office. So don't wait. Download the brand new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app today.
It's Family Leisure's floor model hot tub sale. Help us move out our 2020 product, and we'll help you with great deals. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for pool tables, shuffleboard, massage chairs, and home theater seating. Floor models all priced to go. 15 different full-size stand-up and tabletop arcade games are in stock. Pac-Man, Galaga, Street Fighter, and two-person full-size Star Wars, all on sale. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome!
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Welcome to Elevated Automotive, Kansas City's most exciting new dealership. Infinity of Kansas City has acquired Nissan to deliver Elevated Automotive, an impeccable experience featuring two smart and luxurious brands in one convenient location at I-35 and 67th Street, continuing the five-star treatment and sales experience clients have come to expect from Infinity of Kansas City. Visit Kansas City's premier automotive shopping and service experience in the expanded Infinity of Kansas City showroom under their new name, Elevated Automotive. Follow online on Facebook, Insta, and elevatedautomotive.com.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
You're not going to let me talk about like the targeting thing for
Oh,
the
yeah,
next 6 minutes, are we? That's just not. I don't.
Well,
think
I mean, you asked what I wanted to talk about, then you wanted me to pull up the Colin Yahoo audio. So
What's his name?
Listen, that was your fault.
New Year's?
What's the name of that host for Fox Sports 1?
With Joshua Brisco.
Colin Yahoo
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I really like the idea of just having a library of names that Beards has said not exactly correct.
I think my favorite is still the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, with Vince McMursh still on the table as the 2 seed? I mean, that's incredible.
Vince McMursh is good.
Beards, get that figured out by March, would you? I want to do a bracket of Beards' mispronunciations.
I don't know if there's enough. We'll see.
Oh, I think
at some point, I'm just going to print off a list of names, just have you say them quickly, and we'll get some.
We'll make them.
Chaotic Warrior on Twitch says, what is it with this show and animal harm? A cat, now a canary, SMH. You listen here, Chaotic Warrior. This show feeds fed horses. This show feeds 2 birds with 1 scone. This show spills the beans instead of letting the cat out of the bag, although we would let the cat out of the bag if it was in the bag. I'm
we
going
don't
to put a
skin
cat in the bag. No skin cats. Absolutely
no
not.
Cats.
You guys want to pick for the Chiefs game? It's Friday. We haven't had like a Friday pre-Chiefs show in a while.
Ooh, yeah.
Give me a score.
31-17.
Wow. Go ahead, Beards.
Chiefs 3, Browns 2.
So you're taking the under?
Sure.
I think I said something like 34-27. It gets closer at the end than it should seem.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine that it'll work out just fine. They'll be in control. My pregame starts Sunday at 9 a.m. back here on this station. Tell somebody about Almost Entirely Sports if you dig it. AES.show for the podcast. We'll talk to you again early next week. Until then, bye!
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
5 national championships.
Holy smokes, what a dog.
62 conference titles.
Another steal. This guy's a wizard.
15 Final Four appearances.
From way downtown. Bang.
There's only one team that can boast those numbers.
You can rock. Chalk it up.
Be a part of the Jayhawk journey all season long right here on your home for Kansas Jayhawk basketball.
Kansas and Baylor meet on Big Monday. Tip off at 8 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol.